So, dann hallo und herzlich willkommen zu unserem GSI-Spezial der CitizenCon Direct Watchparty. Und ja, mit mir, dem Talon und, Moment, ich muss wieder gucken, da links. Da drüben dem Bixby und daneben dem Osnick auch wieder mit am Start. Sagt mal Hallo.
Hi.
Hallo. Aber der Titel der Aufzeichnung, oder hast du lange geübt, oder? War ziemlich lang.
Nein, sowas schüttel ich aus dem Ärmel.
Ja. Profis. Ey, Werbung.
Mhm.
Das fand's auch geil. Hoch zur Corsair geguckt. Oh, ich bin raus. Das könnten wir sein, oder?
Ja, das könnte. Piu, 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 piu. Genau, später joinen uns noch der Jurachiel und der High System für ein bisschen mehr hochqualifizierte
Kommentare.
Meinung. Genau, Kommentare.
Vor allem jung und
Und in
frisch.
8 Minuten geht's los. 8,5. Ich bin gespannt. Was habt ihr irgendwas, auf was ihr hofft oder auf was ihr wartet? Also ich meine, klar, die Perseus werden sie potenziell anteasern, aber wahrscheinlich nur, wann sie kommt.
Ja.
Auf was ich warte? Den Full Release.
Wovon träumst du nachts?
Ja, wenn man
voll
sieht, was in anderen Kanälen, Discords, Facebook-Gruppen so abgeht, was sich viele erhoffen und der Running Gag, die Kristallkugel. Viele wollen, jetzt habe ich kurz das Wort vergessen, nicht nur Perseus, sondern Ironclad ist heiß diskutiert und Paladin.
Ja, die Ironclad hätte ich auch gerne, weil die habe ich ja.
Welche denn?
Die normale Edition, glaube ich.
Ja, das Ding ist schon geil.
Nee, oder? Ja, die Ironclad finde ich
Also,
cool. Die hab ich
vor allem,
auch
das ist
Bock.
ja eigentlich auch ein kleiner Träger, was da alles reingeht und geht komplett oben das Dach auf. Ist schon cool.
Ja. Nee, was mich vor der CitizenCon, die Wochen vor der CitizenCon so ein bisschen gestört hat, waren die ganzen Clickbaits. Also zum einen, wo viele Leute den letzten CitizenCon, also den Content von der letzten CitizenCon genommen haben und wild spekuliert haben. Oder auch so unseren Herrn Deep Dive, der so dann irgendwelche Infos manchmal daher schwurbelt, wo halt alles offen ist. Und auch dann die typischen Leute, die halt mit Clickbait-Titeln, das kommt eh nicht und bla bla bla, da gab es ja auch genug. Da gab es ja wieder Videos dazu.
Oh!
Oh.
Da haben sie sich aber Mühe gegeben.
Ja.
Warum?
Der Aufzug ist gekommen.
Ja.
Ja, das war früher immer so geil, wenn der Ding aufgeht und du bist es wie aus jedem Spiel gewohnt reingelaufen und bist erstmal ins Loch gefallen. Ah, das waren noch Zeiten.
Ab und zu passiert das auch noch. Das ist ein riesen Jumpscare, aber man hat mittlerweile die Reflexe. Man rennt gleich los und auf einmal, oh, schwarz und zurück.
Das Schlimme ist, bei anderen Spielen, wo du in Aufzüge reingehst, wartest du auch erst und schaust, ob er da ist.
Also, sagen wir so, im echten Leben erwarte ich jetzt nicht unbedingt, willkommen zurück,
Danke.
dass der Aufzug nicht da ist.
Kann aber auch passieren.
Wobei es das, glaube ich, ja schon kann theoretisch passieren, ist, glaube ich, auch schon passiert.
Ja, da gibt es diverse TikToks.
Und auch Horrorfilme gibt es da.
Das ist nicht schon da, sag das doch. Ich hab's nicht mal gehört. Ah, dankeschön.
Bitte sehr.
Nee, also ich bin gespannt, was sie für Features bringen. Also Base Building war ja angeblich schon in irgendeiner Form fertig. Da muss man ja auch sagen, war es ja in der letzten CitizenCon, was sie da gezeigt haben. Wenn ich jetzt so Base Building nehme von anderen Spielen, waren sie ja damals eigentlich schon relativ weit. Also sie hatten ja schon, dass du ein Energiesystem hast, das ist die Energieverwaltung. Die Gebäude an sich, die halt dann erstmal nur einfach
Sie haben
gespawnt
Base
wurden.
abgeschlossen. Jetzt immer.
Ja, genau. Ja, das ist die erste Iteration. Aber wie gesagt, ich bin gespannt, was dann jetzt tatsächlich funktioniert, was kommt, wann es kommt. Und vor allem, ob dieses Jahr auch, weil es halt, also ich bin mir halt nicht so sicher, es ist eine CitizenCon direkt, kommt wirklich so viel krasser Stuff? Oder ist es halt eher so eine, ich sage jetzt mal, zwischen CitizenCon?
Vielleicht kommt ja auch gleich am Schluss der übelste Trailer, erstmal so Release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken.
Ja, vielleicht. Kann schon sein. Aber weil es ist halt so, sie haben die die Road zu 1.0 vorgestellt. Okay, Moment.
Oh. Der Aim. Oh. Pass auf, der steht so oben drauf.
One day.
Okay.
Also ich habe schon mal getroffen. Oh, jetzt geht's bald los. Nee, also, und sie haben ja das verschoben. Sprich, es ist ja jetzt eigentlich nur so ein Update, so, hey, Leute, wir sind doch noch nicht da, wo wir jetzt eigentlich sein wollen. Also deswegen, ich bin gespannt. Ich bin gespannt, was sie bringen, weil in meinen Augen muss halt, die müssen realistischer werden. Nach so vielen Jahren, du hast deine Hater, du hast die Leute, die sich damit abgefunden haben und du hast so die Leute, die halt immer mal wieder reingucken. Also ich glaube, so die Fronten sind schon da und du musst einfach jetzt in meinen Augen so ein bisschen ehrlich kommunizieren. Es ist halt schon so, wenn du dann halt so Berichte hörst, also in diesen Dev-Videos, dass sie quasi jetzt ihre Strukturen verbessert haben, wodurch sie jetzt effektiver sind als noch früher. Man weiß nicht, wie ineffektiv waren sie früher, wobei, wenn du halt so ein paar Bugs gesehen hast, naja. Ich bin gespannt, weil das Problem ist halt auch, dass CIG in der Vergangenheit schon auch bei manchen Sachen gezeigt hat, dass sie nicht so ganz kapieren, wie die Leute ihr Spiel spielen. Das war das, wo sie da so diese Abgabepunkte gemacht haben. Ein Abgabepunkt für das komplette System und dann haben sich da die Leute gestaut. Und da, das finde ich immer ein bisschen blöd, dass sie solche Fehler begehen.
Vielleicht droppen sie auch ein Release-Termin von Squadron.
Also das Ding ist halt, es wäre halt komisch, wenn sie einfach wie Apple machen würden, okay? Apple hat ja auch dieses Talent, okay, einfach Sachen zu veröffentlichen, die schon 10 Jahre alt sind, die schon seit 10 Jahren existieren und dann halt als neu zu verkaufen.
Das wäre zum Beispiel bei CitizenCon. Ja, bei Gamescon. CitizenCon, Alter. Gamescon halt.
Also sagen wir es so.
Gesundheit.
Das ist eine Sache, wo ich Star Citizen immer verteidige, ist, dass sie die Tech, die sie bauen, geil bauen. Also die bauen nicht einfach nur den Tech ein, irgendein Modul für das, was sie brauchen und dann lassen sie es so, sondern sie machen es besser.
Ja.
Das muss man denen einfach immer lassen. Da gab es irgendwann mal so ein quasi dieses Video, wo einer so ein Stück Stoff einfach über sein Schiff zieht und dann lässt das fallen und es gleicht sich genau an sein Schiff an.
Es hat begonnen.
So zum Tarnletzte
noch.
Ding. Das
5,
Hä?
4.
5,
Also bei mir hat es begonnen.
3, 2,
Ja.
1,
Oh.
0
Jetzt
soll
ist es da.
Lol, bei mir hat
This
schon
year
längst
has
begonnen.
marked a turning point in Star Citizen's history. We have finally moved past the question of whether we can build an architecture,
Ja, aktualisieren wir
deliver a
es.
universe
Audio
with
ist
incredible
asynchron.
detail at massive scale, seamlessly
Aktualisiert
and
man
where thousands
alle.
of
Ich
people
glaube, bei
can
euch ist
play
es nicht so
the
ein Synchron mit dem
game. Server
Video.
meshing has been working pretty much flawlessly at scale for the past 9 months.
Nee, verstehe.
Players online and in the same space at once. It's greatly increased server performance and delivered a much more responsive player experience. I couldn't be prouder of the team. They delivered something no other online game does presently. There may be other games out there that claim large player counts, or even the ability to mesh, but none do it at our detail, scale, and seamlessness. Of course, there will be continued improvements to server meshing and to Star Engine, but having moved past this last big technological hurdle has allowed us to finally focus on quality of life and stability improvements, something that has long been overdue. We're about to deliver our 9th patch in 10 months, with content that has brought Star Citizen storytelling into new and exciting directions. We pushed more than 24 features and more than 2,000 bug fixes. And while there is still a long way to go, the game has gotten more stable, performant, and fun as a result. We see this in player metrics. More of you play every day. The daily average users is up 45% from last year, and your play time is up 15%. So more people venture out into the verse and stay there longer than ever before. And through all that, we've told the dual stories of the Frontier Fighters' assault on Pyro and the moral compromises being made to combat the regen crisis. Now, as those stories come to a rest for the time being, it's time to look forward to the next chapter of Star Citizen, where the instability in Pyro and the callous actions of some pave the way to new adventures, new locations, and new threats. Last year, we announced our next Star System would be Nyx, home to the People's Alliance of Levski and bordering the Vandal threat. Today, we're proud to share that your adventures in Nyx begin not
Ich
next
hab's
year,
gewusst.
but next month, when Star Citizen's 3rd system comes online in Alpha 4.4.
Geil.
2 new systems in 1 year.
Neues
That's
System.
only possible because of the tireless work of our development teams, server meshing accelerating what's possible, the support teams behind the scenes, and most importantly, all of you. Now, I do miss that we're not all together under one roof this year, but in many ways, we're more connected than ever. Across the globe, many of you are gathering at watch parties, 9 of them with our developers in attendance, and countless others springing up in communities everywhere, and all happening simultaneously today. So even if we're separated by oceans and continents, we're bound together by the same passion for space, for discovery, and for this
Animationen.
incredible universe we're building together. Whether you're at home or alongside your crew at a watch party, grab a drink, sit back, and let us take you inside our up-and-coming plans
gewusst, dass
for
nichts
the
ist.
next year of Star Citizen.
Das ist ja nix Neues.
Aber beim 4.4 sind 2000 Bugfixes oder was?
Bei
Krass.
Dutzend.
Hören nicht Asteroid Base.
Das wäre geil. Das wäre geil.
Willkommen zum Nix.
Genug Asteroiden gibt's.
Hier gibt's nix. Weiter geht's. Hier gibt's nix zu sehen.
Oh.
Mhm.
Nix.
With the foundational technology now in place, the content
Get off
development
Twitter,
of the
people.
game is no longer restricted,
YouTube.
allowing us to forge ahead with building out our first 5-star systems. Nyx will see the much-loved Levski landing zone added back to the verse, while also
Yeah,
bringing
Levski
you
back.
one of its most iconic landmarks, the Glacium Belt. Here, you'll experience a new combined arms operation that will introduce new factions and new adventures for you to discover. With this edition of our 3rd star system, we're also going to do something that's at the heart of the entire Star Citizen experience, and that is to build it right in front of you. As we have done this year, with the addition of several major locations, such as the Hathor facility or the Lazarus complex, we will continue to unveil new Nyx content throughout the year. It's a slightly different approach to how we deliver Pyro, but we feel this gets the content into your hands sooner and shows our intent as we continue our march towards 1.0. I'm so incredibly proud of the work our teams have done and are continuing to do, and we're excited to have you on this next step of our journey. And as with any journey in Star Citizen, that begins with a little
5 Minuten drinnen und
Free
ich glaube, das
time.
kann man.
In 2025, we introduced 2 major storylines spanning multiple patches, creating a living backbone for adventure across the universe. The first was Pyro Must Burn. It connected Stanton to Pyro and introduced the Frontier Fighters, who are relentless, brutal, and determined to wipe out any threats that cross them. And with this month's release, you'll now take part in the conclusion to that storyline. The second was Science Run Amok, with the regen crisis throwing the Empire into chaos, and you all jumping in to help the various corporations respond. Through that journey, we pulled back the curtain on ASD and its shady practices, uncovering long-forgotten Onyx facilities, and met new characters like Dr. Logan Yorit and Detective Arkham Mella of the Hokro Agency. And just like the Pyro Must Burn storyline carried us into a new system, Science Run Amok is now setting the stage for Nyx, the next step in the larger story we're telling on the road to 1.0. As this new chapter of Star Citizen begins, let's hear from just a few of the team members working to bring this next era of our universe to life.
When the Nyx system was first discovered, the United Empire of Earth, the UEE, came out and did scans and kind of found out that the system wasn't really worth settling. The planets were too hard to terraform, the resources were too tough to get, so they opened it up. And one company saw opportunity where the UE didn't, QV Planet Services. And so they expanded into the system and tried to mine as much as they could, making a very slim margin by the sheer quantity of resources they were pulling out.
Ein Mining-System.
The system itself
Nur
sort
in
of
EVE Online
ran
war
its
das
course from sort of
Einspieler
a large
gewesen.
corporate interest perspective, and then was mostly left abandoned.
Now this ended up being the ideal situation for the People's Alliance, who were a group of revolutionaries who were trying to overthrow the dictatorship of the Messer regime that was going on in the Empire at the time.
So they went to the Nyx system and established what became known as Levski. They wanted to make it everything that the UEE wasn't at this time.
Okay.
They set up what they saw as their ideal society, where everyone's voices would be heard, where everyone would be equal. But they've fallen onto hard times. So Nyx today is kind of at an interesting point in its history. Now that the UEE has kind of transformed itself into a democratic society, what is their role? What are the People's Alliance rebelling against? And they still see the Empire as being inherently unfair. They see their role as still trying to create a free and fair society. But on the other hand, they have more problems than ever. And there's new threats lurking around every corner. And they have to ask, are they prepared to handle that? Or do they need to turn to the UEE for help?
Making a star system is you approach it from kind of two angles in a weird way. What is this system bringing to the gallery? How does this new system plug into it, and what does it bring to the table from a sort of a flavor experience? We want to make sure that whatever it's bringing to the company is unique and has some flair to it.
Wie groß wird es sein vor allem?
So the
Und
Nyx
gibt's
system
genug
is a
Tankstellen?
remote system where people want to go and live free outside of the pressure and influence of the UEE. It's a remote and rugged system with a lot of hostility coming from the ever-present threat of Vandal.
Kind of like a frontier-esque thing. It's not lawless like Pyro, it's just kind of out there. Pyro's more like a Mad Max
Bin ich deppert oder haben sie gerade
wasteland.
Vandul angeteasert?
Nyx is more like Silverado or like Deadwood, right? It's kind of like a smaller scope.
The emptiness and the loneliness is the defining factor. You're still going to find gangs, you're still going to find hostile presences, but it's where people go if they want to live off the grid.
The People's Alliance is the main peacekeeping force in Nyx.
They were unhappy with the direction that the Empire was going under the Messers. They got out. They said, we're just going to start from scratch, build our own society, but build it the way that we think it needs to be built.
They're not perfect. They're just people, but they're doing their best. They want to help keep Nyx safe and make it prosper.
They are trying to do the best that they can, but are faced with the realities of dealing with people.
Diese auf den Kraken. Vertrau mir.
The Pyro Star is quite a warm star. Stanton Star is quite neutral. And the Nyx is a little bit cooler.
Meine Güte.
The system has its star, and it has this dark, really, really dense gas, sort of nebulous cloud. And it has points of light scattered around it, and those points of light in this gas cloud is really, really hazy.
Es geht jetzt aber nicht die ganze Zeit bloß das neue System, oder?
So because Nyx is bordering Vandal space, it was important that we have a gap in the Nyx gas cloud where you could sort of just...
Ich glaube, das System wird riesig sein, wenn sie ständig mit Karax rumfliegen, oder?
It feels so close that it's even like protruding
Aber es ist
some
potenziell
red
der
light.
größte Punkt.
Also wenn es dann Tankstoffe gibt, machen sie das
The
Geschäft
level
mit dem
designers are
System.
using it as an actual visual indicator of where to place more dangerous POIs. So if you point your ship in the direction of it, you should find, as we build it out, that you will be in more and more danger. And I think that's really cool.
Es wäre auch schön, wenn man den Quantum Drive starten könnte, ohne dass man ein Ziel hat.
To give
Gibt's
more
doch, also
atmosphere, I
mit dem
was
neuen
testing
Flight Model
out
kommt
adding
sowas in der
some
Richtung.
sort of spaced snowflakes, essentially. So when you look towards the sun, you can sort of see that sort of like sparkle.
Oh, der ist während des Quantum Drives
And then when you
ausgestiegen,
look
oder?
Away from the sun,
Hab ich auch
you'll
schon
see
gemacht.
the reflections and sort of like
Er
little
hat die
glints
Klappe aufgemacht.
of light.
Oh.
For the jump points in Nyx, we'll have 2 on this release. We'll have one from Pyro to Nyx and one from Stanton to Nyx. It should be going from Nyx to Castra, but we're essentially bypassing Castra temporarily.
Hey, we want to make sure you can get there any way you want.
Glacian Belt is a huge asteroid belt that is in
viele
sort
Schiffe
of the
zerschellen.
middle of the system.
So das meine wahrscheinlich.
A combination of a bunch
Willkommen.
of technologies that we already
Asteroid
had.
bases.
The asteroid fields we use for planetary rings and the gas clouds.
Ich hoffe.
And it's combining them to make something completely new.
Ich glaube,
that
es
we've
gibt
just not
Missionen
seen
in so
before.
Asteroidenbasen. Gibt's ja jetzt schon, glaube ich.
Full
Gab doch schon
of
eine, oder?
resources that are still left unharvested because it's kind of a tricky spot for mining. It's not the easiest place to go, but that means that there's still a lot of opportunity for independent miners to go out there.
So the rocks in Nyx are a bit more sharp, like sorts of like icy look, rocky, cliff-like, very different from those in the Pyro and the Stanton.
One of the big differences too is all of that extra added movement that just adds a little bit of extra
Was ich
flair.
geil finde, wenn du es mit so
It's
einer
also a good hiding spot for
quasi landen
people
kannst
who
auf
are
einem
trying
Asteroid und dann mit dem Auto
to
drüber fahren
capture,
kannst, du
maybe
minern
set up
kannst.
ambushes, that type of thing.
Magnetstiefel gibt's nicht in Star Citizen, oder?
Always feel way more interesting flying in those spaces than
Sowas
just
in der Richtung soll es aber, glaube ich, schon
empty
irgendwann
void.
geben.
And as we build out the Glacian Belt over the next year, lots of places to put new content.
Ich warte nur auf die Vandole.
Delamar is a very large asteroid in the Glacian Belt that QV Planet Services had built a mining base on that got taken over by the People's Alliance and renamed Levski.
Okay.
Levski is our first and biggest social outpost for Nyx.
It's kind of like the place where you stop before you do your panning. So it's kind of a San Francisco before you go out to the gold rush.
It's going to be the central hub for trade and hauling and all of the commerce within Nyx and also from Nyx to other systems. But it does have a CD underlayer to it.
So der Knotenpunkt.
Over the years, you're sort of improving the generation method of those asteroids to culminate towards this specific point to make large, explorable location.
Da ziehe ich niemals den Helm aus. Höchstens einmal kurz zum Trinken.
When you fly towards the Levski, you see this huge gas ring around it, scattered small, mid-sized pieces of the asteroids.
Gibt es eigentlich schon Anzüge mit Hydrationssystem? Dass du den Helm ja die ganze Zeit absetzen musst?
Das ist ja cool.
The breathtaking views of looking into the belt instantly gives it a unique charm and flavor.
Schau
As
mal.
you approach,
Vielleicht
you'll
heute.
initially see a very dramatic borehole that goes all the way through the asteroid. You will also see, growing out from there and alongside Levski, there will be landing pads along what I'd call the spine.
Sieht das toll aus?
Lots of industrial
Das hat so ein bisschen was von dieser einen Base damals bei Star Wars, wo der Obi-Wan angegriffen wird.
refined mining materials when it was
Nur war die auf
mining
dem Planeten.
Before
Ja,
we were
aber
using an
von
actual
diesem
planet, so we had
tief
all of the
reingehen.
space available to place all of these structures. But now it kind of meant that we had to create an asteroid which has the appropriate size to.
Daran sieht
If we
man
took
wieder,
the
dass sie
whole
ihr
shot
Spiel
of the asteroid,
lieben,
you
was sie da machen.
will see that there is an area to fly underneath. We plan on bringing in whole sea gameplay, so this is exterior cargo elevators. So as a team, you will be able to load and unload cargo.
There's a lot more movement on the exterior, such as the cargo trains going around tracks.
Da bin ich gespannt, ob sie das bringen,
It's
dass,
now going
dass
to be fully EVA.
mehr NPCs landen und starten, dass du mehr Traffic
There
hast.
will be walkways around the main
Und nicht
landing zone to
NPC-Aquarien
walk on
oder
plates, but you can
Punkte, wo sie hängen bleiben.
drift off and kind of go wherever you
Genau.
want.
Ja gut, das wird wahrscheinlich trotzdem passieren.
They can explore fully the whole place, which is great.
Unlike the majority of anarchists living in Pyro, there are people here in Nyx that care.
Ich will auch so ein
It's
T-Shirt.
not a downtrodden or derelict, dilapidated location. It has a sense of order.
Gibt's nicht welche zu kaufen.
Only
Stimmt.
where
Muss ich mal
the
nachgucken.
People's Alliance has people living.
But we've had Levski before, and we've updated it quite substantially to be more in line with the newer features that have been put in since, but also visually. And there's been a lot of quality of life fixes that we've wanted to add and bring up
Limited
to like
stock.
a good standard for a landing zone.
Gracing the main lobby.
Das ist der Aufzug, wo sie das eine Mal gezeigt haben, dass du quasi von innen nach außen draus schauen kannst und ein Schiff draußen lang
And was being worked to death, all of them were. And
What's
Anthony
in it?
Tanaka just had a break and just said no and stood up
Ja,
against
doch gar nicht
the
im Wohl
foremen, the supervisors, the managers, the guards, and was killed for it. And so he became a sort of a figurehead.
And kind of was one of the linchpin moments in seeing the fall of the Messer regime.
So if you take the elevator up to the top deck, you'll see the top view and the cargo area as well. So you can go through the cargo shop. You've got your normal kind of cargo needs.
Hauptsache nicht so
You'll
versüfft wie
have
Pyro.
ability to trade
Ja, das stimmt.
and buy your tractor beam and other gear that you need. So
Zum
if you were to die in the
Arbeitersystem,
next system,
kein
then
Outlaw.
one of the places you might come out from is the hospital in Levski, which is called the Mercy Hospital.
So Mercy Hospital is just basically a local med
No
station
mercy.
for all the residents of Levski, anybody traveling through the system. Again, they're trying to provide as good medical help for people as they can.
When you arrive at the HAB's location, you'll be presented with a lobby, elevator bank, and then you'll take that transit to the HAB
Die werden
room.
garantiert auf den Grill kommen.
So within that room will be pods.
And that's where the original miners would have lived. They're not the nicest and they're a bit messy, but
Das würde ich irgendwann
they're a
feiern, wenn
home
sie
for people in Levski.
eigene Apartments und so
If
bringen.
you head down to the
Kommt bestimmt.
lower view deck, you'll go through
Ja, wann?
into the Grand Barter, which is your main social
Wahrscheinlich
and
kurz
commercial
nachdem sie es
area of
rausgebracht haben.
This is where you will see market
Aber
sellers
gut, wenn
selling their
Base Building
wares.
ist, bauen wir unsere
There will
eigene
be
Base.
stalls, there will
Ja.
be
Es wäre jetzt dann cool, wenn man dann da auch
shops.
seinen
And
Spawnpunkt
that
setzen
includes
kann.
things
Also
like Corderies, which is your armor shop,
gleich zu
and
Beginn.
also conscientious objects, which is for weapons. There's also one of my
Meinst du
favorite
ein
places,
Reset?
Cafe
Ja,
Zone,
mein-
which is where you can go
So
down
wie du jetzt Lorville,
into some of the
Pyro oder
more
Checkmate,
rocky depths
also
and,
Checkmate und so
grab
wählst.
yourself a drink and
Na dann halt dann die
you
Base.
never know who you meet down there. If you explore a bit more around the Grand Barter, there's other routes around and little side passages. There's another shop that's away from that area called Teachers.
Teach's Ship Shop is basically where you would go if you were looking to pick up a used ship, buy some ship parts, fix up your old ship, find some new stuff, sell some scrap.
We've closed up Dumpers Depot for Levski, and everything that used to be sold there will now be sold at Teachers. Another new area, as well as the cargo shop that we've added, is the refinery deck for Levski. That's where you can take your processed goods, not just from Levski, but from the rest of the Nix system, and refine and sell those goods there. As a lot of the content in the next coming releases for Nix is going to be mining related. So it's super important that Levski is a really nice hub for mining type of gameplay.
Aber das Ding, du brauchst ja Ressourcen, ne?
We're really happy to bring Levski back into the game. It's been gone for quite a few years now.
I think it really provided a unique environment of it's run down, but the people who live there love it and are working their hardest to make it a great place to live.
This is a location that has a lot of nostalgia for you guys. And we don't want this just to be a re-release. We do want you to go, wow.
It's not going to be as complete as Pyro was when it first came out, but it's going to be our first iteration, and you're going to be able to see it grow as we work on it.
Like with everything, we're always learning and improving and finding new ways.
I mean, is there anything more Star Citizen than just building the system while the players watch us build it around them?
It's going to add a nice dynamic to Stanton and be a much more calming of, style system than Pyro.
The people that would have played it before are going to love to see this come back, and the people that haven't seen it before, it's going to be a great new location.
This is the first time that I'm going to be able to touch stuff and kind of bring my own content to the game, and that's really exciting to me.
Levski coming back into the game is a huge milestone personally for me. So I worked on the original quite some time ago. So seeing it come back and
der seitliche Blick bei der Prompter anscheinend neben der Kamera, so nicht davor oder darunter.
Something wicked?
So we've talked about Levski, we've talked about the Glacian Belt, but you're probably asking yourself, what's the new gameplay activity we're going to be doing? So let's find out.
Welcome to Nix is your first experience in a new space station in a new solar system.
It's a mystery to be solved. There's things for the player to explore and look into. There's going to be some twists and turns, of course, some combat, and if you're lucky enough to survive, maybe some good rewards.
This is basically a continuation of kind of our ASD storyline. So in the closing out what we had called our Science Run Amok storyline, we had revealed that ASD had been procuring sort of very black market illegal stuff in order to conduct their experiments. So this mission is basically going to be continuing on that trail.
So the Navy has learned that illegal tech is being sold in the UAE, and they're hiring Intersect to investigate. Intersect Defense Solutions is the leading military defense contractor in the UAE. So the Navy contracts with them a lot for doing various kind of military operations that they don't want to handle themselves. We didn't want players to be working directly for the Navy. The Navy just doesn't call up random citizens and ask like, hey, if you're free, can you fly a helicopter? I guess as a player, when you can think about like, oh, where am I gonna be doing missions that are capital ship battles or large fleet scale stuff or military operations, that's all gonna come from Intersect Defense Solutions. Intersect have discovered the source of the illegal tech is in the Nix system and an old abandoned QV Planet Services logistics station that's come back online.
So they want the players to figure out what's going on.
So when you come out of Quantum and you start your approach vector to the objective, you'll be weaving through asteroids, going through the Glacian Belt, and slowly the station will reveal itself. Now this is an old QV logistics station. It's pretty beat up, it's pretty derelict, but there's some points of interest that you'll spot as you go through. So the station itself shares design cues from old Pan Am stations found in Pyro. This architectural design found its way over to the Nix system as the system was being established. But you'll also see some additional design cues that QV planetary services were adding, so it's a nice transition architectural point. It's fairly skeletal in design. You'll see logistics yards and cargo yards, but also facilities pinned inside the asteroid, creating this network of facilities. You'll notice there's a Polaris near the main hub. It's not a normal Polaris. It's damaged, it's broken. It's not a standard corporate Polaris. So at this point, you should be asking yourself, who does this belong to? Away from the Polaris, you'll see struts leading to asteroid bases. Now, these asteroid bases are locked, so you don't know exactly what's inside just yet. But all of this comes together to form the playground for the mission to take place. So not only is this facility unabandoned, but it's also under attack from a surprising but familiar foe.
Ja.
Oh yeah.
Das sind sie.
Oh, ich komme. Oh mein Gott. Dass ich komme. Oh. Oh.
For the first time in the PU, the Vandal.
Ich habe so lange gewartet auf die Motherfuckers.
So the Vandal are a nomadic, very, very, very violent spacefaring race.
They've been striking out against outposts and such in the Nix system. They don't really know what they want, don't know why they're doing it, but it seems like whoever's running the station is really pissed them off.
Vandal raiding parties have been rioting in the system. And they're unaffiliated to any clan.
Und das ist genau geil, wenn du sagst, der Miner muss geschützt werden, weil Vandals auftauchen.
Und da jederzeit.
Das ist schon
cool,
ja.
Und damit kommen eben auch ins Spiel, du hast Miner, die gleichzeitig auch beschützt werden müssen.
Oh yeah.
You will be contacted by some civilians on arrival asking you for help.
So at this point, you have a choice. You can either bug out, mission over, or join the fight. This will be the first time since the PU launch that you'll be able to fight against Vandal aggressor ships.
This fight will be intense. The player should be able to deal with them, but they will have to be prepared and they'll have to come back in to fight off this initial wave, and that won't be the end of it.
After you fight off the Vandal ships, the mysterious inhabitants of the station invite you to come on board.
Which Insect sort of will encourage you to do because it'll help further their investigation against what's happening here, why these QV stations have come back online.
Überlegt euch was anderes als scheiß
You board the
Keycards.
station, and it turns out the inhabitants here have a real surprise for you. Oh!
The player will be immediately ambushed. These guys are not your friends.
Oh, sieht das geil aus.
Of course, it's not going to be easy because the people that are inhabiting the station are going to fight you every step of the way.
The fight will be challenging, but this definitely will be the warm-up phase of this mission. This will be the players getting a sense of what exactly is going on there, who these people are. They'll be in unfamiliar armor. They will be wielding unfamiliar weapons. And we want you to get a sense that you are in a new place, in a new territory, fighting a new faction.
So after you survive this initial ambush, you get back in touch with Intersec, and obviously the question is, who are these people? Why are they attacking? Why are the Vandal attacking them?
At this point, there's more going on here than anyone thought. The directive from Intersect is to explore the station and collect as much information
Sind die
as you
Vandal
possibly can.
wirklich aggressiv oder hatten die einfach bloß einen scheiß Erstkontakt?
Along the way, you're going to get to explore
Die sind
some new
aggressiv.
areas.
Also das
It's not
glaube
just
ich
the
schon.
space station. There's the
Die kommen,
disabled capital ship.
also die würde ich so ein bisschen
asteroid
als,
bases
ich glaube, so
nearby
ein bisschen
with obvious
heuschreckenmäßig.
installations
Nomadisch,
there,
also
other
Nomaden.
forces that the Vandal have been
Und
attacking.
wenn da, wo
There's
sie
a
sind,
debris field.
die
Explore
Ressourcen
the
ausgehen, gehen sie
locations in
weiter,
any
glaube
order
ich.
you want and try to find out who these people are and why the Vandal are after them.
You'll find new clues. You'll find ways to solve the puzzle of what's going on at the space station, and find out what kind of loot they have for you now that you beat them.
And of course, this is a legally open station, so anything you find is yours to keep and sell, maybe
Wird es dann auch irgendwann friedliche Außerirdische geben?
Es gibt friedliche Außerirdische.
This isn't just a one-time event, this is a
Willkommen
permanent sort of mission that we're going to be adding to the game.
You can go back and repeat this mission and find ways to do it even better, even faster.
There'll be a different story and different flavor. Obviously, we can't have the same thing happen every time. There'll be other missions that Intersect will offer to you based on the evidence that you found.
Now you know the real story, and you can start digging and giving more information to Intersect along the way.
I'm super excited to finally see the Vanduul in the PU.
I'm excited to bring cool Vanduul ship combat to SC.
Players in the PU will now get to face down these awesome ships and get a taste of like we already have it in Arena Commander, where you get to fight the Vanduul swarm, and being able to do that is going to be, I think, a heck of a lot of fun.
Wollte ich gerade fragen, gibt es die dann auch als...
So this marks a great milestone for us for not only pushing hard and adding great content this year,
Aber du weißt
also
nicht,
being able to introduce the next star system and introducing the next landscape to tell new stories and add new gameplay beats into the ever-expanding universe. So we'll leave 4.4 there. If you're at one of the watch parties, please raise a toast to the great work that all the teams have been doing this year. And I'll be right back in just a few minutes to look ahead at some of the things coming in 2026.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Voyager Bar in beautiful scenic Orizon, where the staff of Cloud Imperium Games Manchester is gathered for their very own CitizenCon Direct Watch Party. As the dozens of such events happening at locations around the world, we've gathered today to watch this sneak peek at just a little of what the next year of Star Citizen has in store for everyone. Oh, that was really good, everybody. I'm Jared Huckabee, your host for the festivities and for the show today. And let me tell you, it's not a joke. It's not a gag. Next week, we're hitting our 9th patch in 10 months. And then in November, we're going to finish out the year strong with the long-awaited arrival of the Nix system. And in case you missed it because you were chatting with friends, hi. It's not the lawless wasteland of Pyro many folks have been speculating, but an independent system with its own set of rules and laws and multiple ways to get there. It's an exciting time for everyone at Cloud Imperium Games because, as the architects of our persistent universe said at the start of the show, the foundational tech that we've been building for so many years has now unlocked us to bring more to Star Citizen than ever before as we continue our journey towards 1.0. Now, before we continue with the show, let's get a few housekeeping tasks out of the way. First, we're simulcast on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want the keen communities of Twitch or the 4K ultra high resolution of YouTube, you have your choice. Second, throughout the broadcast today, we want to see and hear what you have to say along the way, and you can tell us on social media by using hashtag CitizenCon. We're especially interested to see any photos from those watch parties that are happening across the globe, and we're going to find some way to bring a few of them into the broadcast later in the program. Third, we've also had a CitizenCon contest going for people to create their very own slice of life in the PU videos, and we played the winning entries during our pre-show countdown. The offerings were super varied. The idea was to work with a team to show the life of a miner or a hauler or a bounty hunter or whatever. But one guy just said, I'm going to make a video about how awesome I am. And I respect that. So shout out Nocturnal Revenant. I don't remember if you were one of the winners getting an L21 Wolf from Kruger for their efforts, but you won the coveted Disco Lando Complete Narcissist Award. Good job. And to all the winners, I'm sure someone will either be in touch with you about your wolves or they'll just show up on your accounts. I really don't know how that process works. Probably would have been good to find out before the show, huh? He's so afraid. Either way, if you missed the pre-show and are curious if you won, you can check the replay after we're done here today. All right. I just realized that my bosses, Chris and Sandy, are sitting in a movie theater watch party in Switzerland right now. A completely captive audience. So real behind the scenes here. This is especially torturous for Chris right now because he's super excited about the next segment we've got coming up. Aren't you, Chris? And you're just sat there right now, forced to watch and listen to anything I say. Do either of you regret that decision so long ago? All right, so I've probably pushed my luck enough. Let's get to the next thing. When Nyx arrives next month, it'll have Levski, the Glacium Belt, and the new Welcome to Nyx operation we just discussed. But throughout 2026, we'll also continue to build the star system out with new features and new technologies that will not only set Nyx apart and give it a unique identity from its sibling Star System, but will continue to set Star Citizen apart from other video games altogether. Now, at this point, if you're running one of the watch parties, you're going to want to crank your speakers up for some brand new music from the Maestro Pedro himself. And let's take a look at some of what the next year has to offer for the Nyx system.
Deswegen Nyx meinen.
Oder ganz langsam in den anderen Systemen.
Und da wird es bestimmt Sachen geben.
Es sei denn, da gibt es spezielles Zeug.
Ja. Okay. Oder große Brocken, wo es halt wirklich die großen Schiffe sich lohnen.
At Cloud Imperium Games, we believe art inspires the best technology. And through the development of that technology, it pushes us to create even better art. When Genesis comes to the persistent universe starting next year, it will change how you experience every world. And not just in the building of the new planets for the Nyx system. We will also go back through Stanton and Pyro and reimagine them through the lens of our technology. Previously, and more traditionally, we'd create slices of biomes, like deserts or forests. This approach moved us forwards and got us this far, but solving the scale was always tricky. And for Star Citizen, we like to do scale on another level. Issues like seeing tiling from our height maps from high altitude, or the unpredictable blending when two biomes connected, were common. But ultimately, things just never felt right. Our worlds were gorgeous, but to us, they still sometimes felt like interpretations. Now, this was a super hard problem, which we needed to solve at the scale for Star Citizen requires. We challenged ourselves to emulate nature in the most believable way, and not just on a planetary scale, but to our level of detail.
Atmosphäre.
With Genesis, we've made a complete paradigm shift to how we do things. Biomes are now created based on the physical data sets.
Und jetzt Wassereffekte.
With the assets being spawned whenever and wherever the correct criteria is found. So when you see a forest or a meadow, it's no longer because an artist painstakingly crafted it there. It's now because it simply wants to be there.
Das ist schon geil, komplett procedural.
It fits inside our
Und es schaut schon echt geil aus.
Genesis also ties into our other gameplay systems.
Weißt du, es macht einfach Bock, wenn du dann sagst, du kannst irgendwo landen und irgendwas machen. Das ist schon geil.
Ja, bau dir da mal eine Basis. Bau dir da in den Schluchten eine Basis.
Soil type, soil amounts, geology erosion
Schau dir allein das Gras an, what the fuck?
This means you can now tell where to find valuable minerals as the geology looks like it would be suitable for it.
Erinnert mich da, wo wir abgestürzt sind, oder wo wir
below sheer cliff faces, and where rocks have broken off over time due to erosion. Of course, these new tools still give us the ability to direct the look and feel we want. The attention to detail from the tallest mountain to the smallest tower.
Wenn die Tech erstmal fertig ist, dann
with Genesis, we can now keep that detail-orientated mindset as we focus on the quality, and it provides the quantity. Genesis provides our planets with the ultimate sense of exploration and adventure, discovery in the purest emotional form. We want you to find that perfect place, with the planets providing an abundant resource to harvest. This is a major part of what exploration is for us. We want that feeling of finding a corner of the universe that you'll fall in love with, and where you want to settle down and build your home. Now I'm going to hand you over to Will to go deeper into what we have built that allows Genesis to realize
dort, wo der
our vision.
Mensch seine Häuser
As a
baut,
reminder, some of
zerstört
the
die
visions
Natur.
you'll see will evolve and change
Ja, aber das ist ja dir überlassen. Du kannst ja deine Sachen auch so bauen, dass nicht alles platt gemacht wird.
Ich würde in den Berg reinbauen.
Thanks, Ian. So, in case it's not already clear, Genesis is our name for a group of technologies that are improving our ability to build worlds, refining those that we've already created, and ultimately expanding our persistent universe to the scale and quality that we all expect. I work on Planet Tech, so let's talk about how that's continued to evolve since our presentation last year. And instead of just highlighting some really cool biomes that we can create, let's go ahead and show how all this work applies to the upcoming planets of Nyx. So there are 3 planets in Nyx. Nyx 3 is a gas giant, and I think it's blue. It's not going to surface. I don't really know. Nyx 2 is a yellow, toxic. It's got like this high pressure atmosphere, and it's like a very volatile planet with high risk for war gameplay. It's going to have some really interesting biomes for you to discover, but for now, just know it's going to be dangerous, because today we're going to focus on what we consider to be the hero planet of this system. Nyx 1 has got a rugged, remote beauty. It's got a diverse set of biomes, from weathered rocky mountain ranges to vast sweeping forests and grasslands, and from damp, expansive wetlands to claustrophobic, festering swamps. These core biome concepts give us a fantastic platform to hone our technology, in some cases because the current tech couldn't do them at all, or because we want to completely step up our game for them. So, let's approach this planet in much the same way that you would play it with, from orbit.
Ja, der ist geil.
The orbit appearance of the planets going forward is far more tied to what is present on the surface. Previously, we had different data that drove the orbital and ground coloring. That's because the orbit was designed to look like vegetation that we'd place on the surface, and the ground coloring was trying to be a mix of soil, rock, and the organic compound coloring that forms the kind of colors there. Now we author much more of the data in a unified way. When you look at Earth, you see blues and greens for ocean and vegetation, and brown or yellowy tones for sand and soil. We wanted to keep it as simple as that. The same set of textures and data that define the color of the soil, sand, and rock on the ground are used to create the orbital look. We then assess the presence of vegetation and competition between different species on each part of the planet, and use that to blend in tones of green, including variations due to species health and the current season. This creates a far more complete image and allows you to identify features, geologies, and potential points of interest all the way from space. Let's go down to the surface and start with something closer to what you're used to, but in a whole new light.
Un fliegender Dorito.
When we approached the surface of the planet, we wanted to start by focusing on just soil and rock. One of the things that was missing from our terrain previously was simply feature complexity. Looking at our contemporaries, we lacked detail at the ground scale. To combat this, we've added a new layer of data. That layer is called the medium tiles. These are intelligently placed on top of the existing 4-kilometer terrain tiles based on slope, soil type, and other erosion data. And these medium tiles don't just create height changes, they also bring in local erosion data both for soil and bedrock size values. And this gives us a whole new level of terrain detail, of scale, and allows us to create far more unique locations across the planet. So now that we've nailed the surface, let's have a look at adding some rocks. We've now got 2 major contributors to the rock content of our planets. Firstly, long desired feature, cliffs. We are adding large scale, very detailed to all our cliffs based on the geology at a given location. This adds an exciting new dimension to steep slopes that we simply couldn't get before. The second is a big one for you ground vehicle enthusiasts. Rocks are now found not scattered everywhere,
Und der Feind
like
von
spilled
natürlich
popcorn
heißt
at the
System,
cinema,
ne?
but only in places you'd expect to
Deswegen
find
sitze
them,
ich lieber im
thanks to
Geschützturm
a brand new
als am
registration
Steuer.
algorithm that isn't annoying as hell. Using physical data generated for each large and medium tile, now rock distribution makes sense and has a physical basis. So if you're still crashing into them after this comes out, that's on you.
Aber ist auch geil quasi, du kannst nur bei so Abbruchkanten noch wirklich das
The
Geröll
rock assets
finden
themselves have
und
had a
nicht
glow up
einfach
too.
irgendwo mitten im Ding
We now
liegt.
create
Ja,
rock
logisch
sets
verteilt ja
related
Ressourcen.
to a
Was du abbauen
particular
kannst.
geology that
Ja.
look like they originated from the same source. And this ties into how we'll be
Aber
distributing
ich finde das
minables in
Gras
much
an
more
einer
interesting ways too.
Das ist geil.
Die Sonnenstrahlen, ach.
So now that our base terrain and rock scattering looks good, let's add some vegetations and explore some additional biomes.
Jahreszeiten.
Nyx One's forests and grasslands are full of
Mit dem
trees,
Nebel so
various
dazwischen,
grass
das ist
species,
schon
rock
geil.
formations, and they're found in all sorts of elevations like mountain valleys, open plains, and dense meadows. And when we start to add a bit of fresh water, they begin transitioning into more wetland-type biomes. And while forests are super
Ich will
cool,
Urlaub machen in den Bergen.
let's focus on the grasslands
Mit
and
so einer Tech
wetlands
kannst du
today.
doch geil eigenes Terraforming machen.
So, how are we making these look so great? Obviously, we've had grass before, but never meadows of it. Because until now, we haven't been able to spawn grass in large enough quantities or effectively represented at distance. So we're stepping up our game in terms of spawning, shaping, and shading grass. With Genesis, we now leverage GPU spawning to create vast quantities of assets across all biomes, whether it be dense meadows or more complex collections of ground cover like you can see in these wetlands. We are also able to fit our grass tiles to the ground by conforming them to the unique terrain underneath. Now we can finally cover complex terrain shapes with grass and ground cover assets, and as a result they are now gravity aligned, meaning each blade is oriented as you'd expect and not sticking out like before. Next, let's take a look at how we light our grass. Now, as in real life, the shading of a grass blade, or indeed a whole field of grass, is lit very differently to like a flat surface. We now use a solution that shades meadows of grass far more like fur or hair. And this, if you think about it, makes sense. At a distance, a field of grass is far more like a carpet or cloth than a flat surface. This improves how our grass looks from a near perspective, as well as bringing us nicely to how we're solving the distant representation of grass. So, let's talk about the distance problem. One of our biggest achievements with Genesis is allowing us to build beautiful biomes out of flora and geology assets like a building set. Can I say Lego?
No.
Too late. But in the past, this broke down very quickly when objects simply disappeared when viewing the same biome from 10, 20, 100 kilometers away. Because we don't hide planetary transitions and allow you to view complex regions from very large distances, there are almost infinite perspectives from which you can see a location in Star Citizen. So, how can we afford to evaluate complex spawning logic at runtime for the entire swathes of the planet? Enter the virtual terrain. Virtual terrain, or VT for short, is how we now cache and represent our terrain at varying scales. This has been the enabler for all of the lovely advances in terrain complexity and asset spawning we've shown so far. And it's also how we now evaluate and represent vegetation from a distance. When creating the VT for each part of the terrain, we assess if vegetation has covered the ground, and if so, what shading should be applied. For all of our biomes, we're now able to use the same shading model for the distant representation as the close-up asset, whether that's our lovely rolling hills, some more dramatic rockscapes, those muggy wetlands, or even our festering swamps. So yeah, we didn't forget about the swamps, and they're coming to Nyx One as well. built using the lessons learned and all the technologies we've developed. These swamps now spring into existence from the planetary data.
Aber ist ja auch logisch.
This biome combines all of the elements from the other biomes we've shown you today, from water interaction, denser spawning, unique ground coverage, and I think it creates something really unique.
Wenn du jetzt auf der Flucht bist oder dich irgendwo verstecken musst.
Generell einfach, du sagst, das ist jetzt mein Homespace, da finde ich es halt geil, wenn du dir irgendwelche so Marker setzen kannst, wo du halt
das stimmt, dass du es wiederfindest.
Anyway, that's our update.
Am besten, dass es dann auch anspringen kannst.
Genesis and how we're using it right now to sculpt the identity of Nyx 1. And I hope you're as excited as we are to explore this and everything we haven't shared yet.
Weil Sol ist ja das unser System, ne?
Ja, Sol-System.
As you can see, Genesis is now inspiring everyone here to create planets of the quality and believability we've always strived for. A meeting of technology and art that I truly believe will set our worlds apart from anything we've done before. And with that said, let's move on to a little travel between systems, literally. Up until now, our mission system has been specific to the star system you're in, meaning a Stanton mission has to take place in the Stanton system, and a Pyro mission has to take place there. We've never been able to link these together, but with the introduction of our third star system, it's time for this to change. And that begins
Jetzt haben wir Eskorten-Gameplay.
Interstellar Cargo.
Und übergreifende Quests.
Interstellar Cargo.
Hauling missions.
Ja.
Hauling is back.
No one said Hauling was gone. You guys even play the game?
These are exactly what they say on the tin. Missions where you're going to start in, say, Stanton and end in Nyx, taking various volumes of cargo between the stations. So there'll be high volumes of cargo that kind of fulfill the purpose
aber das Cargo-Mission machen muss mit Geleitschutz. Das finde ich halt einfach geil.
And there'll be a few sort of more direct routes.
So you might pick up some cargo from Ruin Station in Pyro.
It's richtig Planet Express spielen.
Drop it off there at one of the Elios.
Brauchst nur noch Mutanten mit einem Auge.
Jetzt kannst du Space Trucker werden.
Missions will require you to.
Lieferjunge.
They're no way limited. You can do them in any sort of ship you want, any size of ship. I'll be doing them in my
DPD
Drake
machst du SPD, Stanton Paketdienst.
Sag's doch, Planet Express.
The Drake Cutter.
I've got a few ships, but the Drake Cutter is really cute, so.
One thing that we're looking to add with these interstellar missions is scripted combat encounters where you can be attacked by NPC ships. Maybe the mission giver has tipped off some pirates who are looking to get a hold of that cargo. As well
Aber
as
das ist genau das, dass du nicht mehr sicher bist, einfach nur Cargo-Runs komplett alleine machen kannst. Genau das.
Es geht in die Richtung, in der wir es haben wollten.
Ja, genau. With the logistical network and making sure they make sense within the themes of the systems, just as much love has gone into the interstellar missions we're making now.
Dann müssen wir öfter diese Eskorte-Missionen spielen, um das ein bisschen zu trainieren.
Ne.
At the start of the show, we said we was going to build out the Nyx system right in front of you after 4.4 launches next month. And while we want to keep as much of what we're doing behind closed doors, so you can discover it for yourself, in-game and on your own, we still are excited to share with you a brief look at one of our up-and-coming locations we're calling Rockcracker.
Das ist ein Dings.
Da schneiden die ersten Asteroiden.
Okay, so Rockcracker, Jared, is our internal name.
Rockcracker is where you have to crack a rock. It's a big rock. You want more?
So way out into the Kiga Belt, you'll find these old QV breaker stations. These were originally industrial facilities breaking apart large asteroids and mining them down. But since they've been mothballed and been left abandoned. So you're going to have to find your way inside and thinking about how do we bring this facility back to life.
Das ist geil.
It's not just about flipping a switch.
Du musst von der Kika
back to life, you'll be lighting the beacon
and calling attention to these long forgotten places.
Und wenn du die anschaltest, kann es halt sein, Vandul.
One of the main features is the laser head, which will require certain things to get working. It's up to you and your friends to find how to get in.
Engineer
There'll be a variety of options.
Gameplay. Nice.
Whether you're discovering the bowels of the station and mining your way through long forgotten tunnels, or you're going through the main laser entrance. Now, as you're traversing through the facility, you'll find the old engine room. Now, there may be ways to bring the facility back to life, kickstart the engines, and bring power to different parts of the facility. Maybe eventually bringing the laser
Ja doch, du musst
back
in
online
den Engine Room reinzukommen, musst du vorher eine Keycard drucken.
Wahrscheinlich.
The secondary gameplay loop is FPS combat. You're not there by yourself.
There may be squatters and outlaws in these stations trying to stop you from what you want to do.
Klonkriege.
Aber es ist halt schon geil, weil du kannst halt Leute haben, die First-Person-Shooter haben wollen, die dann halt den Minern helfen, da mitzumachen und sie danach schützen. Es ist halt schon cool.
So you found these old facilities, you've brought them back to life. You've systematically brought power to various functions of the facility. You've activated the laser.
Genau, du hast 3 Stunden gebraucht, um den Laser zu aktivieren, da musst du leider offline und kannst den
broken apart the rock.
Ach, so was Blödes aber auch.
And then you'd be able to fly your ship inside and see what's there.
Okay. Also musst du noch innen fliegen oder
fly
was?
ship into an asteroid.
Yeah. You just get into your ship and
Da muss ich
fly
einen Piloten
in and start
anstellen, weil das schaffe ich
searching
nicht.
around and trying to find the pieces that you want to mine.
Das stelle ich wahrscheinlich am Eingang.
Achso, du meinst dann im Asteroiden drinnen.
Ja,
das
wie so eine Geode oder wie
ein bisschen kacke.
I'm really excited about Rocket because it's a sandbox activity. You can kind of go to these whenever you want to.
This content is for players who enjoy mining, who enjoy exploration, investigation, and don't mind a little bit of FPS content while they're there.
Little bit, ja, klar.
Genau, da lacht er selber.
It will be very new experience compared to any other asteroids because this one, kind of like Alan and mine, will crack open and show its secret.
And one presumes you can make a decent amount of scratch. Asteroid that's big enough you fly your spaceship into it.
It wouldn't be worth doing if you couldn't make a good amount of coin. Yeah.
Making promises for the econ team.
Yeah. They've got to balance it.
It's for people who want a lot of minerals. When
Das wäre
crafting
richtig
comes
blöd,
in,
wenn
when
sich das
all
nicht
the other
rentieren
mechanics
würde.
and features that we want in the game for 1.0 come in,
Und
it'll be a
welche
place
Schiffe passen
where
rein?
like an organization or a group of like 5,
Die
6 people
Boot
can
Ich
come
muss ja sagen, dass
and just get a
da
monumental
plötzlich so ein
amount of
Asteroid
minerals.
dann immer aufgeschossen wird und du hast dann ein Loch drin und musst reinfliegen. Ah,
So that's a look
überzeugt
at
mich
some
gerade
of
nicht
what's
so, muss ich
coming
ehrlich sagen.
over the next
Sah
12
gerade
months.
nicht so toll aus.
In addition to what we've shown, there'll be new mission packs tailored to the
Ja, wenn
people's
du alles
alliance
abgebaut
and
hast, baust du da deine
There'll
Base
be
rein.
events that invest you into the evolving storyline
Ja,
of all
Respawn,
3
ja.
systems
Für den
we'll
nächsten.
have in the game. And of course,
Nee,
when we
Base
begin
mit
populating
Antrieb.
these with new planets, there'll be a whole host of ground-based POIs, settlements and structures inhabited
Steuerbare
by those
Asteroiden.
trying to make their way in the verse. And all of this in service of building star systems that complement the massive corporate yard of Stanton, the lawless ganking of Pyro, and now the new frontier of discovery for the Nyx system. Should I say ganking?
You already did. Good job, everyone. So yeah, a whole lot to take in there. Interstellar hauling is the beginning of a massive expansion to the mission system that'll let us connect these 3-star systems like never before. What else we got? Rockcracker. Rockcracker is just one of the next operations that'll be coming to the Nyx system in the first half of next year, where you're going to fly into an asteroid and do that thing that miners love more than anything else. Complain about PvPers getting in their way. No?
Nein, ich habe keinen Alkohol getrunken. Nein.
And of course, one of the most anticipated features coming to Star Citizen, Genesis, and what that means for the planets of Star Citizen, including the ones
die erste
already
Stunde
in
ist
there.
rum.
So let's talk to Will Hain and find out more. And I'm just remembering that Will Hain is in France at the Watch Party. Okay, France. Ask Slarty Bartfast over there how they're going to use Genesis to update the planets and moons of Stanton and get back to me, all right? And see if we can get some fjords. What else we got? The CitizenCon Digital Goodies Pack. That's a hard thing to say. That went up for sale a couple weeks ago and has a whole bunch of mysterious items in it. And that's where I can tell you now that almost all of them are tied to the Nix system in one way or another. So let's find out what's actually in it. There's a gunship flight suit and helmet. 2 armor sets from that mysterious faction causing a ruckus with the Van Duel.
Gut, dass ich das Ding
Intersect
nicht
BDU
gekauft
sweater
habe.
and outfit. A couple of crazy weapons that I'm certain we're going to learn about in just a minute. Some slick Levski swag. And finally, to celebrate the long-awaited addition of the Van Duel to Star Citizen, a cool Van Duel knife and adorable plushie, which I swear to love and squeeze and cherish forever. So yeah, it's a pretty solid haul for this year's Digital Goodies Pack, which you can still pick up right now in the Buy store. So now, let's go ahead and transition into our next segment. Much of what you see in the show today has been the culmination of a lot of people's work in... What's up? All right, I had a dream about like this once.
Yeah.
Okay, so against everyone's better judgment, the thing has finally happened. Can I help you?
Ich glaube, die haben wegen Sons of the Force gespielt, oder?
How do you think the show's going? Good. We're getting the Nix Star system and the Van Duel are coming.
Kind of been a lot of Nix, right?
Well, yeah, but it's a major milestone and it deserves a major showcase celebrating everybody's hard work. And
you got more, right?
Well, yeah, there's spaceships coming up.
Cool.
Wow, it's like they only scanned the original community portion of me.
Was ist los?
If pictures steal your soul, imagine what face scanning in PCAP does.
New ships coming.
Well, this has been super cringe. So I'm gonna head out.
Bye.
Oh. Regular CitizenCon is still better. You should have done that.
Of course. Thank you. Part of me that isn't a soulless marketing puppet. All right. No. Let's just go to some spaceships, shall we?
So, jetzt kommen sie zu dem Part, wo sie wieder schön Geld verdienen wollen.
Hi, my name's John Crew. I'm the vehicle director here at CIG, and welcome to Talking
Leider
Ship,
nicht nur
where
wollen.
we're going to talk about 3 new
Soll
ships
werden.
coming to the persistent universe.
Chips. Paladin, Perseus und Pionier.
Ironclad. Bitte.
The last year has been pretty hectic in terms of vehicle deliveries. I think we've delivered the most we've ever done in a 12-month period, and we've covered all the way from tiny little snubs all the way up to capital ships.
We've kind of filled out a few little gaps. We've introduced some new ships by some old manufacturers.
You had the Polaris come out, and obviously people have enjoyed playing with that. We snuck the Idris in without none of you expecting it for a while, and it's been a busy year. It's nice to start
Kennt ihr Enterprise?
all the
Das
catalogs
sieht ein
and
bisschen
some of
aus
the
wie
bigger
der.
ships again.
Yeah.
I think my favourite ship from the last year is a tie between the Wolf and the Golem.
Favourite ship in the last year? Probably the Wolf.
I feel like it's the obvious one. I'm trying to think of something else, but I really like the Wolf.
Everyone's mentioned the Wolf. The Wolf's everyone's favourite.
The Wolf, obviously a return of Kruger, a completely new aesthetic to the game.
The Wolf was, it was kind of everything we set it out to be.
Das Schiff
and
gefällt
it's
mir
arrived
eigentlich
in old
gar nicht.
manufacturer. We've not seen
Kann
anything
ich
from a
bloß
while.
wiederholen. Ich bin nicht so auf
yeah,
weiter.
I'm going to say the Wolf.
The
Das
Golem
ist mir zu schnell,
is
die
just
explodieren
an
mir zu oft.
incredibly well-formed ship in such a small package. It really just shows off that Drake aesthetic, giving you the absolute bare minimum needed to perform a role.
I honestly do really like the Zeus. I think it came out really well. It's kind of hard to pin down a favourite, to be honest.
Also
because
Zeus
we've released,
hat mir schon
a lot
gefallen.
of really cool ships.
Next year we've got
Aber
some super exciting
der
ships
Wolf
coming up.
mehr.
We're ticking off a few big ones.
Ich hab die geholt,
which is
weil
good.
günstig und
We're
älter.
gonna see again maybe some ships from some manufacturers that don't have that many in their lineup. There's a few big challenging ones starting, so they're good. A breadth of ships, should we say?
The 3 new ships we're going to introduce today all tie in some way to the primary factions fighting over the Nix system. We'll start with the People's Alliance and Anvil Aerospace.
Paladin.
Anvil is a very military-based brand. It's been a brand that's in Star Citizen for a long time, fighting for lots of military contracts and law, often up against Aegis, and to the point it actually beat Aegis in the past. You will be familiar with a lot of their ships' designs, such as the Hornet and Lightning. Earlier this year, we introduced the Anvil Asgard, based on the Valkyrie chassis, which is an extremely popular offering. And this year, we're bringing the concept ship we introduced last year, the Anvil Paladin, to life. The Paladin is a gunship from Anvil Aerospace designed to support ground operations.
A gunship is a ship that's designed to sustain a sustained firefight while dealing a lot of damage, also taking damage.
We don't have a lot of gunships in the game that are true dedicated gunships. They are quite a tricky archetype to control in game without being too powerful. It's designed with a lot of firepower and high armor and health, but very low maneuverability.
It's multi-crew, it's just built
Da hast du dein
purely
Schiff ausnicken. Da
battle.
kannst du dich dann entscheiden, ob
Lots
du
of armor,
in das Cockpit gehst
lots
oder
of
in den
guns,
Turm, weil es
big
bewegt sich
guns.
fast nicht.
It's got a very similar squat kind of form to the Valkyrie. It kind of reminds me of, I guess, like a pit bull. Obviously a very menacing silhouette.
It looks quite forward-weighted in its stance. It feels like it's coming towards you, even when it's just sat still. And I think that's something that helps with it feeling intimidating.
If we swing round, following the ship round clockwise, what you'll then see is first the side turrets.
NPC-Crew geben.
If you notice the canopy, you'll see
Irgendwann später sicher, aber
between
nicht jetzt.
where the glass is and the whole exterior. That's because it has deployable armor, which can come out and give you a little bit more cover while you're actually attacking the target head on.
It's got these really nice kind of dual connected wings with the turrets out on the sides, just to try and give as much kind of range for those turrets as we can get.
Which is controlled by one of the two remote stations underneath the bridge. If we come around to the rear, you'll see a rail. Now that rail mounts the main turret of the ship, which is controlled by the co-pilot.
So you've got full 360 coverage underneath, full 360 coverage on top with it, and then the side turrets also have 360 coverage that way around and 180 out sideways. So really you have, between the turrets, pretty much 360 coverage in all directions. One of the unique things about the Paladin is all the turrets are remote and all the crew are located in this one central two-story room.
A lot of our other gunships, the crew gets scattered across the ship, but with the Paladin, you're all sat together with a nice, cool experience, so you can really feel like you're playing.
Ja, ich bin nicht so der Fan von dem.
You've got the pilot, co-pilot up top, and you've got the gunners underneath, and I think that helps with the intention of what the ship does, because you've got this really nice kind of like gunner viewpoint down, kind of giving this lower coverage.
We added a glass floor just to keep the two connected. I think that really helps with the feeling that you're all working together and communicating.
That said, if you don't have the ability to fully crew a Paladin, you can still fly it and engage in combat solo.
Obviously not as good as if you have a full crew, but you can't always guarantee your friends are going to be online.
As a solo ship, it's pretty capable of doing a variety of missions within Star Citizen. So if you want to run this ship solo, you can take on combat missions that, say, other heavy fighters like the Scorpius or other ships such as the Drake Cutlass could do. Coming aboard the Paladin, you enter into this sort of armory, ready room area. You have a variety of suit lockers and weapon racks in this room.
Everything's very militaristic, stripped back, simple. It's a very functional space, but you'll find everything you need in there.
One of the improvements from the original concept is we've added a small dedicated cargo bay area, allowing you to store actual SCU crates. Forward of that is the route to the lower gunners, and then upstairs you have the bridge area, and then off that central area you have the dual living quarters, one on the left, one on the right, and then at the rear you have the main sort of engineering area where the majority of the components are. Also within the upper traversal area you have a breakout area with seating, food machine, toilets, etc.
I think it's a very cool looking ship. I think we did a really nice job of taking what was there in the concept and adding an extra level of detail, trying to kind of push things forward.
I think it hits the nail in terms of a really solid military ship. It's really complementary to some of the other ships in the Anvil lineup, so something like the Valkyrie, where you've got this big drop ship. You know, the Paladin's there just to make sure it's safe, make sure no one messes with you, and just basically scare people away.
The thing I like most, I think, about the Paladin is that it's very clearly got a crew of 4, and they all kind of work and operate under the same conditions. You know, the pilot, co-pilot, and the 2 gunners, they're basically all equal on the ship. There's one toilet, everyone's got the same style of bunk. When they're at work, everyone's at the front of the ship together.
It's really odd to me that you call that, you like that there's one toilet for 4 people.
Well, you know, it's
Dann kommt einer wie ich und macht sie kaputt.
You're all equal at work. You're
toilet seat never gets cold.
Toilet seat never gets cold.
Geht's jetzt eigentlich schon wieder auf deinem Schiff?
So that's the Anvil Paladin. Whilst originally a military-built craft, it's the perfect ship for folks on the frontier trying to defend against threats. And talking of threats, let's move to our next ship, a replica from Hesperia. Hesperia are a high-end manufacturer. They specialize in recreating exotic and particularly alien spacecraft.
Effectively what they're doing is they're remanufacturing them, making them a little bit more suitable for kind of human flight. And the latest offering from Hesperia is the Vandal Stinger.
The Vandal are big, scary space aliens. They're like 7-foot-tall, evil war race that sort of take over, steal technology, absorb it, fuse it all together into their own needs.
They are the relatively nasty aliens that you sometimes hear about and haven't seen much of yet. They also make really cool spaceships.
The Stinger as a Vandal heavy fighter was reserved for their higher tier sort of ace pilots or high-ranking members within their clans.
The Stinger is a competitor to something like the FA or I guess the Scorpius.
It packs a lot of firepower in quite a large frame, so it's a very, very tanky
heavy fighter
spacecraft. The firepower is almost unrivaled in terms of just both the number and the size of them. So it's there for players who don't want agility. They don't want to be in and out quickly. They want to be there brawling with big guns and taking all the hits. One thing Hesperia have done differently with the Stinger is they have done away with the majority of the bespoke weapons.
They heard everyone's complaints about the glaive and blade and have stripped off the original Vandal weapons to allow customization for standard human weapons.
With the exception of the single-size 5-gun.
Because it was too well integrated into the hull, even for Hesperia to remove.
All the additional weapons are generic mounts, so they can be swapped with any of the existing lineup that we have in the game. By doing this, it provides greater flexibility to the end user, and this is something Hesperia wanted for the civilian market. For that one bespoke weapon, the size 5 plasma cannon, functionally it is the same as the existing size 5 plasma cannons on the Scythe and Glaive, but it is a sort of Gen 2 model and wraps it in a different aesthetic compared to those models. You'll see they're very much older Vandal styling. This is much newer Vandal styling, but underneath it is the same weapon that people have used for years.
Schon geil aus, Alter.
Our job as the vehicle art team on the PU was to take the Stinger from the Squadron team and prepare it for life in the PU. We took an opportunity to take, you know, this really well-established art style and, you know, add extra details where needed.
So the exterior is a real blend of these kind of hard surface, kind of rare alloyed kind of wings, and then underneath this real kind of organic structure that kind of webs all of the ship together. You know, it connects the thrusters in, it connects all the kind of underside of the vehicle and pulls the whole ship together.
You can tell it's very different from the Vandal ships that are currently in the PU. If you take, for example, the way the cockpits are constructed.
Up at the front, we've got this big kind of bubble dome that gives the cockpit quite a unique shape compared to some of our other ships, and also gives the pilot a unique position within the ship and kind of gives great visibility out the front.
Boarding the Stinger is a little unusual compared to other ships, obviously being alien in nature.
You're going through a ramp at the rear, and it leads you kind of straight up into the belly of the ship.
There's, you know, lots of organic detail, rib cages, kind of strange alien forms.
On entry of the cockpit, the seat kind of comes down towards you, and you
Und
kind
auf
of
geht's
climb
in den
back a bit
Liebestuhl.
like a motorbike.
You're basically riding into the cockpit. It feels very much like you're being like carried inside the cockpit.
Into the traditional prone flying pose that Vandal pilots use.
I'm very happy with the Stinger. I think the team have done a really good job of making something that feels different, it feels alien, but it suits our lineup of ships and it suits our universe.
I think the guys did a really good job of respecting the, you know, the direction and vision from the original Stinger and Vandal ships in Squadron.
We've tried to take a lot of inspiration from movies and other science fiction material, but I think it sits well within the Star Citizen universe.
So we have the Paladin for the People's Alliance. We have the Stinger for people that really like Van Duel and want to try and pretend to be them. But what about the other mysterious faction we have running around?
So Gray Chowdhury got his start as he was working at a cargo center out in Odin. He started being able to get his hands on some stuff that other people couldn't, items that necessarily you couldn't find on a store shelf, but you wanted anyway.
I think Gray is interested in
Sag jetzt nicht
happy
Merchantman, Alter.
customers. You know, Gray just sees themselves as a conduit to get these
Lass mich
things in the
jetzt nicht
hands of people
Lass
who
mich jetzt verarschen, Alter.
would appreciate them.
And I think that his latest offering is really going to turn some heads.
Ich dachte schon.
So the Shiv, well, we don't really know what it is, if I'm to be fair.
It's what happens when someone who is a genius at aeronautics and ship assembly is given free rein to do whatever they want. It's the best of whatever they can find lying around, put together to make something truly unique, wonderful, arguably beautiful, and just released out into the universe to see what happens.
Ja, das ist doch eine kaputte...
At first glance at the exterior of the Shiv, I think most people will probably recognize there is more than a fair proportion of a cutlass.
Das wird zu 100% ein
But
Starter-Ship.
it's had quite a few changes to it.
As you look a little bit closer, you'll start to pick out elements from other ships. You've got, you know, main thrusters that are from the Valkyrie.
Even the bits that are obviously a cutlass have had panels welded on, panels removed. The top turret, which is now remote, is just this hodgepodge amalgamation of multiple turrets. And then the changes continue onto the inside, where again, it sort of feels cutlass-like, but then you'll find
Was ist das für ein Armor-Typ? Hallo?
Crusader ships
Ich will sehen, hallo.
integrated into the wall instead of what was there originally.
It has lost its side entrance, some of its cargo capacity, but what it's gained is it's gained visually more powerful thrusters, it's gained a really kind of nice set of belly thrusters, it's upped its firepower.
As ever with the refined work from Gray's Market, you can see that great care was taken to the health and safety to ensure that there's no trip hazards anywhere.
There's like loose cables, panels are exposed. If you look carefully, you'll notice there are like tools laying around in the cockpit.
Toilet. Bucket.
Yeah, it's
Alter,
one for
bitte
doing
sag,
stuff.
dass
You
das
need
eine
a second one
Verarsche
to wash
ist.
your hands. It's not an animal.
It has very much taken that ethos of Drake.
Stell dir vor, du kennst gerade so und du hast voll in den
Dings
geschissen, Alter. Die
Just
Kacke
look at
geht
this
da
thing.
überall.
How do you even begin to describe the madness that created this? It's the Shiv.
Das ist kein Deine Gravitationseinheiten versagen, weil das Ding im ganzen Raum rumfliegt.
Ja, aber ein Quattro-Attrition-Turm ist schon geil.
No comment.
Gray goes to places and talks to people. I mean, you know, there are just many ways to find these things that, you know, I mean, are they legitimate, you know, manufacturers? No. Are they operating on the right side of the law? Maybe not, but, you know, money's money.
Does Gray have a motto, an ethos to live by?
It probably comes down to, don't ask where I got it.
Don't ask how we got it.
Don't worry about it. Just ask if you want it.
I think the Shiv is for someone that is looking for something a bit different, a bit away from the norm, that just wants something that's unique.
Wenn wahrscheinlich noch mehr so zusammengeschusterte Schiffe
like
kommen.
a rustic aesthetic.
It's a fun ship.
Es ist so ein
But
Scheiß.
it's also really strong, to be honest, and it's absolutely
Ja,
a
Richtig nach
statement.
Pyro.
Ja, das passt zu Pyro.
Sag mal so.
I'm happy with the three ship
Es ist so
offerings. They're
Schnäppchen.
obviously very combat
141
heavy.
Euro für
There's
Lifetime
something you wouldn't
Insurance.
normally release all at once,
Partner.
but honestly, all of them are a different statement, and they're all cool.
As always, super excited to release these ships into the game and just see how players react and play with them. It's always fun to see the quirks and the shenanigans that people get up to with them. So that's Talking Ship for another year. So,
Yeah, you can do the thing with Lexi. Talking weapons.
So I've just been informed that we have to do a bit of a timeshare agreement this year. So we have to throw it over to Alexi for Talking Weapons, which is an extremely original name.
Die mögen sich nicht, wie ich bemerke.
I'm talking about the new edition that come out in October. The non-weapons are essentially the weapons that does not have a manufacturer, the weapons that you can think of that were made by
Ich habe so ein Trauma von CS, Alter, von Counter-Strike, jedes Mal mit dem
Gray sells whatever he can sell.
Sometimes he gets his hands on some weapons that come from unknown origins.
He will sell things that no company in their right mind would ever make.
These are the most kind of like scrappy and taped together and the most kind of like pyro-ish weapons that you can think of.
Right now we're releasing 3 new weapons. Rocket launcher, the LMG, and the long-awaited Space AK.
I think this is the one that not only is the most in demand, but I've been politely badgered about the most. It's a fun rifle that basically fires energy and ballistic in sequence. So your first shot will be your ballistic, your second shot will be the energy. You'll see on top of the art, there is a bolt that cycles the rounds, and that goes off with the ballistic shot, but it does not go off with the energy shot. And that is just like a really fun way of making a weapon work in kind of like a scrappy, glued together kind of aesthetic.
So
the LMG, this thing is a really fun, slow-firing, hard-hitting beast.
It will bring the 50 cal, and the only other weapons that have this right now in the verse are the Bearing sniper rifle and the Coda.
Honestly, if you even get hit by one, you just instant tier 1 injury, back to medical.
Are you even trying anymore?
You know what? We made all these really complicated, fancy guns, and some people just want, I want a slow-firing rifle. Give me a scrap-together box that fires the biggest thing you can possibly find.
We don't have a rocket launcher of this caliber. It will be 3 grenades straight together that you pull into the tube and fire towards your enemies. The cool part about it is you have a ring distance, so you'll not be able to just point it towards an enemy.
It's also going to have a lot of spread. So essentially, you're going to have to get very close with your launcher to be able to blow up ships with a single payload in it. You can't actually aim with the apparatus, because you've got the tube on your shoulder, and you try to aim it, you'd have to physically put the tube in your head. So we were like, oh, we can't have an aim apparatus for this. And then we realized, like, it's in the spirit of being a tube that you can't use the aiming apparatus, and you just kind of like, all right, I think that's the middle of the screen, I'm gonna hit it.
It's in the spirit of being a tube.
Entfernungsmesser.
Are we gonna talk about binoculars? Binoculars are really cool. We don't have anything like this in the verse, and I think it will be really convenient to use something that's dedicated to look for the things, especially far away, instead of using your sniper scope, for example.
Will the binoculars have glint?
I'm not aware of this one. Probably not, because binoculars are not something that you need to be aware of.
It's really funny because obviously, due to Glintgate, as I beautifully internally call it, basically there was a lot of community feedback basically saying like, oh, I really like spotting people. I really like playing a spotter. And essentially I was like, oh, this community wants to be able to spot people from distances. And what can we make gadget-wise that doesn't require new features? And it was like, binoculars. And I prototyped a thing which essentially was just a scope in a hand, and it worked. So we've got some really cool binoculars coming that allow you to spot people from distances.
And how much damage do the binoculars do?
Depends on how you throw them.
Thanks, Alexei and Zach. That's the end of this segment for this year. So that's talking ship and weapons, unless anyone else is going to come and tell me something else. It's been an exciting year, and I think the next year of ships is going to be even more exciting and expansive than this.
Eigentlich ist diese Waffe jetzt OP, oder? Weil sie beides kann.
Well. That is an eclectic bunch of combat ships for the verse, and they're all available right now up on the RobertSpaceIndustries.com store.
Also, any minute now, there's going to be a PTU drop that includes all 3. So you can fly them now ahead of their release next week when Alpha 432 goes live. 3 combat ships. I wonder if they'll have any additional uses coming up later in the show.
Schrotthaufen und ein Galles.
All right, what else can I shill? Oh, there's merch. We've got these cool new Levski desk mat things. These are always popular. There's some Levski metal posters on the store, and of course, love them or hate them, but you can't avoid them. There's this cool new Wickelow's Emporium t-shirt. Yeah. There's also a page published earlier today with a bunch of links to offerings from our third-party partners, from eye trackers to gaming chairs to voice packs to spaceship models from new partners like Planet Ring and Pigeon Spaceport and more. You can find all of that on the RSI website as well. And what else can I shill? Oh, for those of you who are at watch parties, where is it? Challenge coins. Who doesn't love challenge coins? There's these lovely Levski-themed challenge coins if you're attending one of the 9 official watch parties
Bis auf Nix und Vandul ist
there's
es
also a
jetzt
digital
ohne
one of these in the
Enttäuschung.
goodies pack. So you check those out. Don't leave today without getting your Levski challenge coin. All right. What else can I shill? Now I'm kind of tired of shilling. All right. Let's find out some more about where we are. Simon, can we move? Can we do? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Okay, here we go. Pardon me. Excuse me. Hi, how you doing? Hey, that was my best angle. Hey, I gotta be careful. Last year I took 3 steps and tore a muscle. All right, so this is the 9th floor of CIG Manchester's Manchester office. That's This is the room where we have lunch every day, and if you get here early enough, croissants, if the weapons team hasn't stolen all of them. Over here, we got some cool mannequins representing different aspects of the game. You got the ever-present, Hurston security armor over here. That's really cool. You got your Dusters armor right here. You got this guy from a game that we're not talking about today. Marine armor. Yeah, it's all pretty cool. And then when you come over here, got a nice little recreation area. There's some sim pits over there for people who need to test that kind of stuff. We got this cool Krigeri Bengal carrier. Come over here, shoot it. Go down the nose here. Watch this. Watch this. Pretty cool. I'm gonna go over here.
Boah, wie groß ist das bitte?
Can you see me?
Wie viele Schiffe passen eigentlich?
Hi, Mom.
Bitte?
All right.
Das ist der Bengal, oder?
Yeah. What are you doing, Richard Towler? All right. I thought John went to Washington, D.C. Let's see, what else we got? We got cool Voyager bar here. This is where we get all kinds of breakfast goodies, coffee, stuff like that. Hey, who remembers the big coffee controversy of 2016, where everybody took to Reddit and pondered the question, do devs deserve coffee? I do. You want to see what next year's big controversy is? Check this out. I'm going to come over here. Do devs deserve coffee? Welcome to the Stargarita machine. Do devs deserve frozen deliciousness? I don't know. Go to Reddit and let us know. All right, let's see. Let's go over here.
Competition winners.
Competition. Oh, competition winners. We have the list of competition winners. Can we put that on the screen? Yeah, sorry, competition winners. Remember the competition for the CitizenCon winners? The people made the videos, and we gave them a Kruger L21 Wolf. We actually have the names. They're behind me. Look. Oh. All right, that's cool. Also, everybody's got food.
Was ist das für eine CitizenCon?
Somebody's supposed to save me pizza. All right, so we got. Oh, you guys saved me a lot of pizza. Let's see. There's like 3 different kinds of pizza here. What if we just combine them into like a challenger situation?
Wir haben nichts mehr. Der versucht jetzt gerade nur Zeit zu schinden.
So hört sich's an.
That's a CitizenCon throwback if you're not familiar with. So I have now crafted my own pizza experience. And that is a terrible segue into our next segment. Gemma, can we, Gemma, are you there?
Yes, Jared.
Can we fire up the FPS crafting segment while I try to chew this off camera?
FPS?
We sure can. Roll, BT.
Crafting? FPS Crafting sagt man davon, haben sie gesagt. Crafting Experience. Kommt 2027 raus.
Star Citizen, at its heart, will always be an enormous sandbox experience where you can set out to tackle the universe in whatever ways you want. But that doesn't mean we can't shape parts of the universe here and there to better suit our needs. That goes for both you and us. Let's start this part of the show with a look at how crafting is going to change everything from resource gathering, refining, and even combat when it comes online in the next few months.
Okay.
First version of crafting is going to be quite small in scale. We're going to use it as a kind of a concentrated effort to allow the players to experience the
Aber ein bisschen auf Crafting gibt's eigentlich schon jetzt.
the flow of gathering materials of different quality and using those to craft items which are better than what they have currently in the game.
The first version is going to be primarily FPS items that you can craft, weapons and armor. For Star Citizen, crafting is our primary progression mechanic. Star Citizen isn't your standard MMO. We don't have levels. We have ships, we have gear, we have things that you create in the world, you perfect, you research, you improve. And those items, those ships, those vehicles, the armor and weapons, that's how you progress in Star Citizen. Crafting isn't just a progression mechanic for creating new items, it's also a fundamental change to how we handle resources in the game. The materials that you collect, how you refine them, quality matters.
Crafting the weapons, you'll be able to have some quality materials to influence the item stats on those weapons.
It'll be somewhat random, a higher chance of higher quality. And once you take those materials to your crafting bench, the fabricator, you can use them to craft, and the different attributes will be increased based on the quality of the materials you use. It's not just iron ore anymore, it's iron ore of the quality that you know will get you the stats for the item that you desire. And it's not just mining, it's essentially every resource we can get our hands on.
To support this, we also need major changes to inventory so that all of these new resources that you're collecting, you can see what you have, you can order it better, you can understand what you have in your inventory.
We won't have the new refining crafting system yet. We'll be using the existing ones. Those will pass the quality through into the refined materials, which you can then take to your crafting machine and start making your personal items. Once you have your blueprint and your quality materials that you've refined, then you can put them together on the item fabricator. This will be pretty much what we showed in last year's CitizenCon, with the UI letting you assign your quality resources to different aspects of the item. Once you're happy with what you see on the preview, you'll be able to click to craft, and it'll get queued up, and your result will be produced sometime later. You'll be able to get the new crafting machine from shops in most landing zones. You'll be able to bring it up on your freight elevator and use it in your personal hangar, or tractor beam it around and stick it on a ship if you want to use it from there.
There'll be a small amount of budget credited to your account just to test and mess around, but the vast majority of them will be earned through missions, and then you can use that blueprint to craft the item that it is that you've got the blueprint for. So it should be a good reason to go and test all the different various missions in the game.
The advantage of crafting your own items is that they'll be better than anything that you could buy from shops. You'll be able to increase and improve item stats that are relevant to your gameplay. Maybe your gun will shoot faster, maybe it'll do some more damage, or your armor will have greater resistances against environmental effects or incoming fire. You might be wondering, what about the upgrade and research? That will be coming in a subsequent release. We're happy with this initial scope for crafting.
It's going to be so valuable for us as devs to kind of get the metrics in, get the feedback in, because then we can make the changes that, you know, they only become obvious, so to speak, when you have kind of mass amounts of data and mass amounts of users using it. So I'm very excited to get it out in the wild.
It's our intention to get crafting out on tech preview by the end of the year and get the testing we need so we can release it when it's ready.
So that's one way you'll be crafting your own experiences in the Star Citizen universe. But what about us? Where do we get to hone in and craft a bespoke experience here and there, specifically tailored to individual or small group play? Well, that's where instancing comes in. And I'm going to let Benji tell you a little bit more.
We're bringing instancing to Star Citizen in 2026. Why are we doing it, and how will it work? So if you've played any content in 2025 in Star Citizen, you know that most of these areas were in actual PvP zones where other players could interfere. Instancing is a means to create an environment where designers can create tailored content that's tuned to a specific group size, but it is also protected from outside interference. It's not to say that we don't love PvP. I'm a PvP guy. PvP me, bro.
Ouch.
But like most MMOs, a good balance between a dangerous overworld and a protected instances is needed. Right now, we don't have this ability, and this is something we really need in order to give you a sense of progression that is tailored and balanced to a tunable amount of groups, so the difficulty matches the group size. There's a beginning and an end. It doesn't mean that that doesn't fit in our overworld strategy, meaning getting to the instance is dangerous, exiting the instance is dangerous, or can be interfered with others. But at least when you're playing the content, we can actually make something that's curated for one experience. So before anybody says this is only a PvE thing, this technology can also be applied to unlock curated PvP experiences that are as seamless as the PvE ones. So it's not about one thing or the other. It's really about unlocking developers' ability to create curated content. So that said, how will it work? Instancing is really an evolution over static to dynamic meshing. We want your instances to be as seamless as your instance hangars, meaning that when you take an elevator, you exit the elevator, you're inside the instance. A gateway opens, you cross that gateway, you're now into your instances. Could be also a quantum jump into an instance that you don't even see. The transition is just like a dynamic mesh transition. And so throughout the universe, we will be able to add these areas that are open or closed instances that allow you to join in either with a party and have a reserved instance for your party, or join an open instances that has a number of slots. And so some of those areas will be completely instanced on different servers. This allows us to leverage the compute power of the entire mesh. The closed ones will be really to drive one piece of content. You enter and exit seamlessly, just like we do with your instance hangars currently. Let's go and find out what one of our first instances will be.
Siege of Arisen was an event we did previously, which created a gameplay scenario where the player had to run through and progress through contested islands of Arisen. This was a high-paced, high-intensity event, but it struggled a little bit from its technical execution. But now with the introduction of instancing, it gives us an opportunity to evolve it and modify it and make it better for you in a small group to work through that activity.
It is an event that I had the honor of pretty much solely designing and building all of the logic and having the stress of trying to get it working.
Agent Dooley from the CDF puts the call out for volunteers because basically the Nine Tails have taken over sort of a cluster of floating platforms in Orison.
And you are there to kill these sort of lieutenants of this terrorist organization and take back control. So in our current thinking, Siege of Orison is designed for about 15 to 20 people fire team. So you, your friends, or your org will go in, you'll all have sort of dedicated roles. Some of you might be the tank who brings in the heavy weapons and sort of pulls the fire. Some of you might sit at the back and be the sniper and pick people off who are a bit further to make the advance easier. Some of you will be the medic whose sole job is going to be revive and look after the rest of your team and the health of them. And some of you will be the people who push for the objectives to try and get sort of most of the mission done. The event was designed for about 15 to 30 people, but when we released it, we fixed the problem with 2 DGSs on one server that was fighting for resources. And with that, we also upped the player count to 100. So when it first debuted, it was already too full for what it was designed for.
It was a massive operation at the time. I think that bringing it back and giving it a refresher will be a fantastic addition back into the PU.
So imagine if Siege was a instance that you could go in and play solo, or if it was a public event that you could go with your friends, or you could join up with random players on the server. There's lots of ways that we want to take a look at Siege, how we can make it a more approachable piece of content.
I'm excited, to say the least, to bring back Siege of Orison to Star
Aber mal was
Citizen
anderes. Wie scheiße fühlen die, Alter?
have it be one of the first tests that we have for instancing and really get it back to sort of a core experience point where it should be. So while the next season is quite heavily focused on Nyx, I'm also very happy that we're not really ignoring our other two systems of Standard and Pyro, and we're going back there and we're sort of improving and expanding on the player's life in those two systems as well.
Befreit Orison.
Yes. And while things like Genesis, interstellar hauling, crafting, Siege of Orison, and more will reveal next year, we'll continue to bring life into the existing universe outside of Nyx. There's still one more exciting use for instancing we're building right now. It's an earlier look than normal, and some of it is still in whiteouts, but we're excited to share the first look at a major content release of 2026, and what it means for progression-based gameplay. As an evolution of our Building Interior initiative, you won't discover it by accident, because when it's complete, it will be found deep within the heart of Levski itself. This is the Municipal Works. So inside the facility, you'll find huge vaporization chambers, old processing plants, industrial tunnels, and eventually into the old turbines, which are still pumping heat into the old rock.
So this is the true history of Levski. This is a place where you won't see in Lorville, you won't see in I-18 or the other landing zone. It's the pure basis of Levski. You will have, of course, metal and tunnels and more structural plays, but you will also see a lot of rock and cave. So it's not a place you go to take vacation. It's really a place you go to fix stuff.
Not everybody has what it takes to come down there and do the job that needs to be done.
All of your sewage systems have stopped working. Everything's going to quite literally. And so the player is tasked with their group, most likely, to go into there, take out the outlaws and get the facility working again.
So let me get this straight. This is literally a mission to fix the toilets of Levski.
It's not just the toilets. You're also trying to turn on the air. Air is a bit more important. It still works in Levski, but they have like maybe polluted air because it's not being cleared properly. It's not just for the toilet.
Poop mission.
It's also a little bit more exciting than just going into like some vents. It's like a free-layered system where there's 3 chapters.
This will be mission-driven and repeatable. Everything from mining to salvage to combat to investigation, a variety of roles. Narratively, it's a real sandbox. Every progression you do will unlock a new area that will link back to previous areas, complexifying the play space.
We've been wanting to have more gameplay around landing zones for a long time. Now that we have instancing tech coming online, that allows us to do something that provides really cool gameplay close to a landing zone.
With the missions, that's what will create different overlays or change the spaces or change the progression, but it'll be the instancing which will enable us to create tailored content to you and your group. So you're going to be able to play a part of it, make your progress, and then log off. And then the next time you come online, you'll be able to pick up where you left off.
It's going to allow players to return back to it at different states, depending on how much you've progressed, and be able to keep it going until you've reached sort of the end of the whole 3 chapters.
Where you're not going to have other people getting in your way. It's you,
your
team, your party.
It's a way of giving players content where they know exactly where they're at and they can keep going back to it and improving sort of their own progress and ability to jump through them in faster and faster times as well.
So that's a look at how we'll be allowing players and developers alike to create more crafted experiences within the greater sandbox of the persistent universe. Okay, is that it for me at this point, Jared?
Almost. Throw it back to me, and I've got one more for you after this.
Back to you, Jared.
Chipi-Chapa Gelaber.
Gejubel. Die letzte Viertelstunde.
Everybody's really excited about the year ahead. So that's a brief look at some of the ways in which we're allowing you and our developers to craft a more curated Star Citizen experience. Now, at this point in the show, we are in the home stretch. We've got only one more segment to go. But before we do that, we wanted to check out, we said earlier in the show that we would look at what you were saying during the show. We looked at how to put YouTube comments on the stream, and it was immediately apparent that we were going to lose our broadcast license, so we're not going to do that. We did find some social media stuff on Twitch, though, or not Twitter, X. What is it called now? Let's see what this says. Let's see, we've got Welcome Back Levski from, I'm not wearing my glasses. Oh, no. Oh, time to suit up, let's go get him, says Ubu. I really should have worn my glasses. Cue the bagpipes. That's the other game, Charlie Oscar. Let's see. Nice to see you live, Jared. Mom? Let's see. First CitizenCon after playing for almost a decade in Austin. Oh, nice. Straight out of Klesher, back to the Hex. Photos from Leicestershire. How do you say it? Is that Leicestershire? Leicester? Leicester? I've only been in the UK for 3.5 years. San Jose Bar Citizen Watch Party. Oh, somebody created a lovely Vandal mask there. Sean Tracy, can we get that in game? Just that, exactly. Just scan that, put that in game. All right, so that's a few reactions we're seeing on social media right now. Before we get to our big finale, or the thing we're going to wrap up the show with today, I did want to talk a little bit about big CitizenCon versus digital CitizenCon versus what we're doing today, which is CitizenCon Direct. Every year, CitizenCon is a monumental task for any number of people, whether that's development, marketing, the support teams, the platform teams. Everybody comes together to make this thing happen and go off, hopefully without a hitch. And so far, we've been doing all right, other than some stuff in the room here. You know who you are. They had to know. But doing CitizenCon is not always the easiest thing for our developers. You might not assume this, but most game developers are not social butterflies. They tend to like to sit quietly in the dark at their computers, like little goblins, and just make digital virtual worlds like this. And then I come in all happy and like, hey, you want to be on video? And they're like, no. And I'm like, it's in your contract. And they're like, oh, yeah. So we thought, we usually do it behind the scenes afterwards, but we thought we'd do a little bit of it here. The folks in the editorial department put together a brief montage of some of the more candid moments from the filming of CitizenCon over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to spend 2 minutes and take a look at that. Let's see what they put together.
Oh my God. How many CitizenCons have you performed in now?
Performed? Just the one. Nope, my first one.
One last year.
2.
A few.
8 or 9?
Maybe 9 or 10?
Never.
Man, I don't know, man.
Did you like doing it?
Yes, I was completely terrified.
It was good, a bit stressful.
The first live one, I was a mess.
Weird combination of going from insane highs to insane lows.
Live ones.
Because?
It's over.
The live ones are pretty special.
Pre-samp's always fun, but the live events are special, aren't they?
Remember we were at that weird crack house in Ancos?
Right.
I like the live ones. I love these digital ones. These are the best.
Every time I've done it, it has been a digital one, and I'd like to do one on stage.
Is it because you have a restraining order against you? Or?
Didn't know if I was going to be sick, if I was going to lose my stomach.
How hard is it to keep your eyes open on stage?
That's another problem with the lights. They're kind of, I'm realizing through this sentence that I'm closing my eyes as I speak. Do I do that a lot?
I am a very shy individual, so this is me just trying to get out of my shell.
Getting the crowd to react to the ideas that we've been working on for so long.
We can react. Watch. Everybody. Yay!
I can feel your passion from here.
Cut the camera.
Counting you down, like, you've got 30 seconds. I'm like, do I stand up? Do I sit down? Do I drink? Do I not? Do I talk?
This will be the best one yet. That's right. Because it's nice and short.
Is this all supposed to be usable content? Because I could be different.
No. Of all your nicknames, why is Moist Master your favorite?
I think you mean least favorite, and because it has the word moist in it. I mean, come on.
We'll give you a new nickname by the end of this.
Sounds good. Could do
All
with
right,
one.
Let's get started.
So for those of you watching at home or at the watch parties, you're like, why are we showing that? I put that in there because I'm eternally grateful for all of the CIG staff and developers who take the time to appear on these things, whether it's ISC, SCL, CitizenCon, walk on stage, be pre-recorded. It's not the easiest thing for everybody. And on behalf of the community, if I can speak for them in this regard, I want to say thank you for participating in these things each and every year that we have them. Now, let's wrap things up here. So let's see, how do I want to do this? At this point, we've only got one major story left to tell. But before we do that, we wanted to do one more check-in on something we started last year. Last year, Rich Tyler took the stage and presented his roadmap to 1.0. And we didn't want to go an entire year without talking to the senior game director himself to get his update on that 1 year later. So we're going to throw it to him, and we're going to go to our last segment, and when we come back, we'll say our goodbyes. And if you're at a watch party, it's time to get... I was going to say... that's not a word I can say on the camera. Let's just go. Let's just throw it back to me. Go to me from 1 week ago.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Kommt 2029.
Last year, Senior Game Director Rich Tyler took to the stage and revealed our plan for 1.0. Now, before we end this year's CitizenCon Direct, we wanted to take a few moments and follow up on that reveal from last year, to do as we've done today and look at the year ahead. So, Rich, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Well, you're welcome.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Everybody knows the only constant in game development is change. So I'm going to ask you outright, what's changed about the road to 1.0?
Well, fortunately, nothing. It still remains our North Star. The team is busy working towards that goal in the background, and every patch this year has moved us towards that goal. And if you haven't watched the Star Citizen 1.0 presentation from last year, I highly recommend you do so, because everything in it is still relevant as of today.
You mentioned every patch this year has moved us towards that goal, so I want to dig deeper into that. We've done, at this point, 9 releases in this year, more than any year prior. How does each one of these not just sit as their own moment in time, but move us forward on this road to 1.0?
Well, last year I discussed the framework of 1.0, how all those complex systems can tie together. And one of the core aspects of that was the main story, which became the spine of the universe, which brought all of the locations, mission givers, guilds, and all the different areas of the game to the players. Now, what I didn't talk about from last year was all of the content that was going to support that framework, add the flesh to the bones, should we say. And I think that's where this year has moved us towards that goal. If you think about previous events of previous years, they've generally been locations that we've put into the verse, but they've been transient. We've taken them away, like Siege of Orison or Zenithreat. We've added them to game, and then they've been moved away. And I think with the addition of the patches this year, when you look at the Hathor facilities, Onyx facility, these are permanent additions to the world that not only have their own story, as when we release them with the patches, but they'll also become points of interest and areas that the larger 1.0 narrative will utilize.
Since we're on story, I'm going to stay with this here. Since we launched the PU back in 2015, it's always been this sandbox where players can do what they want. They can bring their own story to the verse, and that'll never change. But how important is it that we also build this concurrent narrative of our own, this crafted experience, if you will, alongside that?
Well, we're trying to create a living, breathing universe. And that includes both the player stories that you mentioned, that they can go and enjoy and create their own memories together. But it also means that we want to have a universe that gives back. We want areas and locations to feel like they're believable and real life locations. And if you look throughout this year and the patches that we've worked towards, we've had an overarching story that's moved from patch to patch, and we're going through some of those cycles right now. We've also been introducing mission content that has fully voiced dialogue and facial animation, which allows us to inject some of the meaning and the why to what you are doing as a player. And I think story is integral to Star Citizen as a connective tissue that ties all of these different complex systems together, because it takes players on that journey throughout the game.
To see this big turn this year to start injecting story into the verse, I think people are really responding to it. So everybody knows, and you mentioned just now, that this year we changed a whole lot about how we operate and how we release things. How do you think that's gone?
I think it's gone very well. I think if the mantra that I've always been pushing this year at the beginning of January was patch always goes. And I think this year has seen a different development strategy for how we've been moving the game forward. That's where this different strategy has allowed us to really take a wider approach.
Boring.
And we also have to remember that Star Citizen is played by tens of thousands of players every day. And while we have lofty future goals,
please.
We still have to make decisions right now that make the game fun for the people that are playing it all the time, and playing it as their daily game. If you look at previous years, we've had to hold a patch back, we've had to make concessions, mainly due to around a feature may not have been ready or right to go into there.
There were 3 months, 4 months, sometimes 5 months between patches.
Exactly, and I don't think that's good for anybody. I don't think it's good for the players. I don't think it's good for the development team. I think it's better to have regular cadence of drops. One good example is this year for A Line of Mine. People probably don't know, but A Line of Mine, when you turned on the laser, it was actually supposed to reveal the sandworm Valakar. And I played it, and it didn't hit the quality that I wanted to go into the game. So we changed, and I took it out, and I made that decision alongside Chris and Erin.
Viel Gerede und leider wenig
And
Informationen.
we're going to work on that towards
Base building 2029.
But I think definitely the more regular cadences has had the multiple benefits. And like I said, I want to dispel a myth right here, right now.
Das hätte mich alles interessiert.
Features are still being worked on quite heavily in the background, from radar and scanning in FPS, the new quantum, to inventory, engineering.
Ihr bekommt was ihr habt, bloß ein bisschen in anderer Farbe.
And all of those features are going to be coming very, very soon for players to get their hands on. And, you know, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to sit here and say that if I was to go back to the start of the year, I would hope that we've released more features. But I also think every decision we've made this year has been through the lens of making the live experience as stable and as good as possible.
Absolutely. All right, so that's a bit about the year before. And the year before has been, I've said this before, I've said it internally, I've said it out there, I'm going to say it right now again on camera. I think this has been the best year of Star Citizen ever, and I'm willing to look right into the camera and say that. The player numbers are up, engagement numbers are up, the length of the play sessions are up, bug numbers are down, 30K is gone. It's been a solid year. But CitizenCon isn't CitizenCon without talking about the future, so I want to move us to the future. We've talked about story, we've talked about this more diegetic, immersive universe and adding voice lines and stuff like this. But where do we go from here? Obviously that continues, but what more are we going to do to make this universe seem alive and real and breathing?
I think the biggest thing is to start having that conversation be two-way. So if you think about this year, like you mentioned, we've been having fully voiced NPCs, but a lot of those missions and those NPCs, they're talking to you, they're talking at you. You don't get to talk back to them. Now, obviously, you get to interact with them through your actions. You get to go and do their mission, and you get to move that along, and then they talk to you again. But it's a one-way conversation.
We're missing that conversation wheel.
Exactly. The next part would be physical mission givers.
Das haben sie einmal ganz kurz
We're
angeschnitten.
working towards very soon.
Kurz gezeigt,
with Battaglia being the first one coming back in the verse. And just to be clear, we will be bringing all the mission givers eventually back, and we want them to
Ich habe doch vorhin gesagt,
be
Chit-Chat,
an integral
Chabalaba.
part of the verse and the story that players go and enjoy. We want the locations to be
Das war
brought
nicht
to
die
life.
erste
And as
Stunde,
we
oder?
mentioned last year, we want to have
Die erste Stunde hat gereicht.
interactive scenes
Ja?
that you can go and be part of. And obviously the full
Was habt ihr gesagt?
end goal is towards, you know, to have cinematic stories in the game. And that is what we're going to be pushing towards. Everything we do, every decision we make is through the lens of moving us closer to 1.0. It might sometimes be difficult to see why those decisions have been made at the time they've been made. But rest assured that Star Citizen 1.0 is still our North Star. That's what we're still aiming towards. And that's what we're going to be moving forward
Hast du die falsche Geste gemacht?
as well.
I'm remembering when mission givers were first introduced, they sometimes became a bottleneck. Is there a role in instancing, which we learned about earlier today? Is there a role for instancing in that, in helping with mission givers?
Yes, partially. It will be one mechanism that will allow us to have players go to their own individual area of the verse, have that conversation, and then go and continue on into the open world environment. So I think that's where, when we look at instancing provides us one tool that allows us to remove that bottleneck and provide a more seamless experience.
Happy you said that, because that's one of our last topics I want to get to, is how we reconcile instancing with the persistent universe. Like, for the last 10 years now, we've been building this giant, seamless, persistent universe where everybody can come in and play together. And it would be easy to have a first instinct reaction to the idea of instancing and say that's
Jeder will Basebuilding haben. No shit.
Everything Star Citizen. But you mentioned last year these three pillars of building Star Citizen in the PU, and I want to. You said nothing changed, but I want to ask you about this specifically. What are those three pillars again, and how does instancing fit within the greater design of Star Citizen?
So the three pillars I mentioned last year were open world.
Ich glaube, dann führt das
just like
Basebuilding,
the missions
oder?
you love today, you can go and play, there's other players there, and you can go and enjoy that together. Then we have instancing, which I'll talk about more, but similar to municipal works that we've talked about previously. And then the third pillar was dynamic content, which would be content that's generated by the activities of the players. And I think it's very easy to become myopic around one specific thing when we're talking about it a lot, when it's the next stage of our development. And I think you could reverse it. If we'd have made a game that was all instance, and then I'd come on camera and said, hey guys, we're going to start doing it open world, it would be like, oh, is the game changing? Are we doing open world now? Is open world the new North Star that's going to take us this way? And it's not. It's just one more tool that's going to allow us to offer different dynamic experiences for players to go and engage in. Now, when I talk about instancing isn't always what you'd imagine as a solo instance experience where it's only just you. We're going to have several different versions
eine Asteroid-Base von einem Vandul wieder zurückerobern. Das wäre auch so cool gewesen.
Like the new player experience, will be able for you to go in by yourself, for us to teach
Aber Vandul hast du nur in den Schiffen.
in a safe environment so that you can understand how to play the complex game that we've made. But we'll also have open instances like a cantina or a bar where we might say, hey, we only want 50 people to come in here because we've got mission givers and we've got other NPCs for you to talk to, and you would just walk in and it would be seamless. You wouldn't know that there was an instance, you're not going to get a loading screen, you would just seamlessly walk into that location, it would be full of other players and NPCs, and you can go and enjoy the content. And that's, I think, something that instancing is going to provide us. It's going to give us a tool to offer different dynamic content, or curated content, as I'd say. It allows us to create experiences that are different to the open world experiences that we've already made. And it's not to say that we won't continue our open world development or only do instance content. It's going to be a mix. And like I said, this is one of the pillars that will move us towards 1.0. We will eventually work on dynamic content that will move us towards 1.0. And all three of those pillars will interweave to create the full Star Citizen experience.
All right, so we've hit a lot of the bigger topics, the feature work, engineering, and FPS crafting coming to tech preview soon, stuff like this. We've talked about instancing and how that's going to work within the universe. But I want to ask you this one last big one. It's very easy to say Star Citizen is this kind of game and that kind of game. Those of us who spend our days making it know better. It's an everything.
That's the big one,
it's everything we can make a game. It just is. But at the core of this is still spaceships. That life of spaceships. What more can you tell us about spaceship gameplay in the future? What can you give us? What can you tee up for us to look forward to for those of us who are really into Star Citizen for the spaceships?
Our intentions going forward are to make sure that every ship or ship archetype that you acquire has a role and has content that you can go and enjoy in the universe. For example, right now I know that we're working on more robust mining missions, more robust salvage missions. We're going to be working on refueling missions. And we want to make sure that each and every one of the ship has
Ihr
a
arbeitet an
purpose,
alles,
has a
aber nicht an
reason
das,
to
was die
exist in the
Community will.
game.
Das
That's
ist crazy.
from the smallest Argo MPUV, as well as ground vehicles, all the way up to the large capital ships. We want to give them purpose. And I think it's something that we are absolutely aware of. We want to make sure that we're building that spectrum of content to allow players to go and engage in. And I think 2026 is going to be a very good year for Star Citizen. And I think there's going to be something that's very interesting and something that a lot of people have been waiting for. But rather than me spoil it, I'll let Ian and the team go into the details on that.
He had a twinkle in his eye. Ian, take it away.
Hat so viel gelabert.
So the persistent universe has existed for over 10 years now.
Oh,
During that time, we've created lots of gameplay systems, we've added hundreds of locations, we've added lots of mission activities for different purposes: combat, cargo, mining, salvaging. But for combat ships, the only thing you've been able to do is fight other combat ships. In 2026, this changes. We're going to be delivering a spaceship-focused activity space which incentivizes the use of different gameplay roles. These are going to be scenarios where you're going to have to plan and strategize and create operational tactics to overcome your objective. So what you're going to see is very early. It's early in the pipeline process, and it's going to come online about mid next year. But we're really excited about the content we're creating, so we want to share with you a super early look at what we're building in a space we're calling Tactical Strike Groups.
Das ist interessant für mich.
The People's Alliance are still trying to get to the bottom of what this new faction is really doing in the Nyx system.
They've sent a capital ship to check out a station and run it into more than they can take care of themselves.
Unfortunately, that
Ein gewisser
team came under
Autopilot wäre
attack
nicht schlecht.
and members of their groups were taken hostage. Now they've reached out to Intersec, who've reached out to you to help recover the pilot. Of course, it's unwise to do this alone, so you'll need to put a team together to attack the station.
When you arrive, you will have this big asteroid, kind of broken asteroid, and on this you will have this base where you will find three big arms. You will see in the middle, you will have this big energy core. Everything here has a purpose. It's not just for the show, just something nice to see.
You'll see a People's Alliance-owned Idris that's just on the outside, and it's going to be getting harassed by this unknown faction that you have met before.
So your first objective here is to clear out the ships. There'll be waves of these ships, so this is where you want your light or your medium or your heavy fighters, whichever playstyle you prefer.
Minimum.
So while one part of your group is dealing with the fighters, now it's time to actually assault the station.
This station has been outfitted to resist all of the obvious way of attacks.
Und imagine, sobald du das eingenommen hast, gehört dir die Station. Ha!
These turrets ignore small fighters.
Du musst dann die anderen Spieler dann
destroy even the biggest capital ships.
Von den Spielern und steuern.
Your
Ja, genau.
Polaris and your Idris
Und da musst
can get
du
close.
um die Herrschaftsteilnehmer kämpfen.
Make it so we can mix up that ship combat and not everyone can just bring the biggest ship and win just because they have the biggest ship.
You have to send out your best pilots to navigate the superstructure and take down anything that
Also zuerst die Waffen ausnehmen.
So at this point you're thinking, destroy the turrets.
Oh.
But it's not that easy. This turret has shields that you've never seen before. It won't take any kind of damage. Your missiles won't do anything, your lasers won't do anything, your ballistics won't do anything to them. But like everything, they do have a weakness. You have to cut the power to their shields. To do that, that actually brings you to your first objective, the power relays.
So the exterior has a number of power relays that are holding the doors closed so that you can't.
Ich sag's ehrlich,
You have to find
das
them,
fühlt sich einfach an
you
wie
have
ein
to
No
target
Man's
them,
Sky.
and you have to destroy them. But it may not be as easy as it seems.
Here's our first wrinkle. The power relays have their own shields that are resistant to energy-based attacks.
We know how much you like using laser repeaters, but so do these guys.
Capital ship can't get close enough because of the turrets.
So ships with explosive or ballistic ordnance will be needed here. That's torpedo ships like your Retaliator
Ja, ist geil,
or
wenn du doch
Gladiator,
Bomber-Gameplay und sowas.
or even another fighter with ballistics loadout. That's
Das
gonna
ist
take
grundsätzlich ist die Idee schon geil. Aber es ist nicht das, was... Ja, also nicht.
Ja, aber er hat Selbstmord begangen, oder?
Once the power relays
Sah
are
so
taken
aus.
down, the station opens up.
And this is where things get really cool.
Now it's time for you to fly your ship inside the station.
Yeah, you in your ship fly into the superstructure of this station.
How cool is that?
Für mich ist es so...
I feel like
Ja,
this
ich
is
finde das
a
ganz
proud dad
geil.
moment.
Aber es sollte mehr als
We're
ein
just
Weg
gonna
geben.
call it what it is. It's a trench run.
Weil das heißt, ja, Tactical Gameplay, ja, wenn du was hast, was du nur auf einem Weg machen kannst, dann machst es einmal und dann ist es, weißt du?
So as you enter the structure, you'll see cooling units along the sides that you'll need to take out.
Oi. Mario, die Mission
There's
ist
three
nicht so
arms to the station.
Nee, auf keinen Fall.
You'll fly into one, and then there'll be a floor in the center, and then you'll move out another trench.
You're either gonna do it multiple times.
Warum
or
darfst du
you
mal
have to
nicht?
bring
Für dich
friends.
ist auch nichts.
Ja, mit kleinen Schiffen kann ich gut fliegen, also
At
keine
this
Sorge
point, the
dabei.
core is still protected, so these are essentially strafing runs.
Ich kann ja nicht mit einem Polaris
Objects to avoid, you're gonna have to be able to dodge.
Die fanden wohl zum einen eben Star Wars cool und wahrscheinlich auch die
Because the shield
PK-Folge.
generator that you're targeting is emitting lots of distortion damage.
So once the cooling units are out, that exposes the core to overheat, which means that you can attack it from the inside and also from exhaust ports on the outside of the station.
Bomber Gameplay.
This core is armored and just takes a whole lot of damage.
Star Wars.
Once the power core goes down, the turrets come down, and then the capital ships can get closer. Why is that important? Because during all of this, you spend a lot of ammo and munitions and ballistics, and you're going to want to top up.
This is where we're gonna get our new feature in. Ship hangar, refueling and rearming.
Das ist cool. Das ist
You're
cool.
gonna be able to land in the hangar
ist cool.
of select ships and be able to use the same interface as you are right now at stations.
Das
to
ist geil, wenn du
refuel
auf
and
der Idris oder auf der Ding halt deine Schiffe refuelen kannst. Das ist
Other
geil.
ships that are designed to have other ships land inside them.
Of course, it'll be more than just those two ships, and you'll find out more once we get closer to release. But this is a really important feature that we're really excited to get out.
If you're not bringing your own Idris, the People's Alliance has an Idris there that can provide a safe port in a storm, allow you to set back up and head
Das ist auch
back
cool,
out.
dass du quasi
And
keine
it's a good
eigene
thing that
Idris
you've rearmed
brauchst,
and refueled
sondern
too,
auch eine
because
andere
now
benutzen
another group
kannst.
of ships is coming to attack the People's Alliance Idris.
Keine Sorge, der Bixby kauft sich noch eine Idris für uns.
Ja.
Ui. Das habe ich jetzt verpasst.
So while the fighters are protecting the Idris, what's happening at the station? Well, that's where the dropships come in.
Now you've got to take a fire team in. You've got to land. You've got to fight through an onslaught of
Aber
FPS enemies
überleg mal,
that
du
belong
brauchst
to this
die Leute,
unknown faction, and
die
you've got
Schiffe
to
bemannen
open a
und dann
hangar
brauchst du
door
quasi noch
which will allow
FPS-Leute.
you
Gut, da kannst du die Leute aus den
captives from the
Turrets nehmen.
station.
Du brauchst aber eine größere Menge an Spielern.
Gibt's außen immer noch den Schiffe.
After you've opened the doors and that person's taken off, you've just got to make sure they get to safety.
Und weißt du, dafür brauchst du halt eigentlich noch bessere Orga-Tools. Du brauchst dieses ganze Ding, dass die Schiffe, diese ganze Schiffsverwaltung, dass du überhaupt so eine Kampfgruppe zusammenbekommst, weil potenziell hat der kein Schiff, aber du du musst die Schiffe jemandem anderen geben, damit, weil du sagst, 2 Leute haben einen Idris, aber der ist vielleicht nicht da und so, oder eine Polaris.
Dass man die Berechtigung geben kann, dass der auch mal deine Ding benutzen kann.
Was wird das für eine riesige Schlacht, Alter?
When you alert the Vanduul by destroying the power core that the station's now vulnerable, you're on a time limit. Vanduul are coming, they're gonna come hard.
Ja, aber das bedeutet, du brauchst zusätzlich die FPS-Leute.
Jetzt kommt der Kraken.
Während dem ganzen Kampf.
Vanduul Kingschiff. Jetzt kommt's. Oh mein Gott. Nein, oder? Das ist ein Vanduul Kingschiff. Oh mein fucking Gott.
Ich glaube nicht, dass es ein Kingship ist, aber so eine kleinere Variante davon.
Hallo? Ich will mehr sehen.
Tactical strike groups. I'm personally so invested in this. So throughout 2025,
ja, sie sind so invested in das. Aber Leute, das ist nicht.
Some of it was very focused on FPS combat. So personally, driving a more vehicle-based experience was very important to me. This is a defining statement that I want to do.
Sie haben jetzt einfach nur eine Mission vorgestellt. Das ist crazy.
Ja. There are prized possessions. To the objects we fall in love with. This is the content we want to create.
Ja, es ist der Content, den ihr erstellen wollt, aber nicht die Features, die wir haben wollen, beziehungsweise die wir brauchen, um den Content dann effizient zu spielen.
But we should see this as a landmark, a position where we can see a gameplay space which incentivizes the use of different ships and scenarios to clear objectives and complete missions in a variety of roles. And in the future, we can use this to expand on. So I hope you're all just as excited as I am for tactical strike groups. They're gonna be fantastic.
Yeah.
Die werden doch bezahlt, dass sie jubeln, oder?
Ja. Sind dann auf jeden Fall der Mitarbeiter.
Steht wahrscheinlich auch in ihrem Contract. Das sind ja alles Mitarbeiter.
Ach so.
Why do you still have the puppet? John, come home. All right, so tactical strike groups. You know, it's been a long road for the last 10 years. The PU's been around. We've done lots to build stuff for mining ships and for salvage ships. And as Rich said, we're currently building out even more for those. And our first refueling missions coming online in 2026. But combat missions. Oh, hi, Aaron Roberts. Aaron Roberts. But finally having enough of the foundation in place that we can begin to build real spaceship operations, hesitate, you know, in any other MMO they'd call dungeons. It's really exciting for me, and that's why we're ending the show this year with that. So yeah, that's been CitizenCon Direct. Thank you for taking the time to share this with us.
Jeder fragt nach der Persis gerade.
It's some of what's coming in 2026. I've seen the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat like, oh, you're spoiling everything. I promise, we ain't. So before we let you go, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as with every CitizenCon, the last word shouldn't be mine. It should belong to our founders and CEO. So take it away, Chris Roberts.
I hope you enjoyed this glimpse into some of what the team is cooking for the near future. Of course, we're not going to spoil everything that's currently in progress, and many features we haven't discussed today are in active development, like base building, social, and trade tools that are very much a priority. These, along with bringing the final polished features from Squadron 42 into the persistent universe, will make next year.
Warte, hat gerade base building und Squadron 42 next year gesagt.
Finally, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone at CIG who are working so tirelessly with so much passion to deliver something that's already special.
Von Squadron 42, dass die auch
and of course,
Nein, hat er alles in einem gemeint.
Nein, er hat nicht alles in einem gemeint. We couldn't do this without all of you.
Nein, das waren zwei verschiedene Sätze
every day. We are very lucky to be allowed the time and the money to build a game of all of our dreams. Something that is only more apparent as the video game business becomes more monolithic. We are one of the few large independents left standing, and there is no way we would be allowed to dream as big as we are on an original game and take the time to achieve that dream if we were part or funded by any of the few remaining mega game companies. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the verse this coming year.
Fertig.
Naja, die hätte ich mir jetzt sparen können. Die CitizenCon.
Ja, da muss man schon sagen, die
Bricht ihn aus.
Da hätte ich lieber Battlefield gespielt.
Ja. Ich bin jetzt gerade beim Battlefield. Also, kommen wir rein?
Da hätte ich lieber Battlefield gespielt.
Ich spiele dann Battlefield.
Da hätte ich lieber Battlefield gespielt und er hätte es mir als Video angeguckt. Aber ja klar, Nyx-System jetzt gleich, bald, geil. Aber da ist ja das Ding so, hey, ja, wir haben das Nyx-System so halbwegs fertig, irgendwas brauchen wir, um in den Ring zu schmeißen. Also schmeißen wir einfach das Ding und verkaufen das Feature, dass, hey, wir entwickeln das System mit euch. Ihr seid live dabei.
Das ist eine Enttäuschung.
Habe ich so meine Bedenken. Quasi.
Live dabei.
Sei live dabei.
Ja. Live dabei.
Wir haben zwar die Community komplett verschissen, aber das ist perfekt.
Ja gut, das darfst du nicht vergessen. Das haben sie immer. Also
Nein, das stimmt so nicht. Nicht immer. Letztes Jahr war es gut.
Ja, aber sie haben immer aber sie haben sich auch zwischendrin immer so Sachen geleistet, wo du dir denkst, so, warum macht ihr das so? Aber im Endeffekt, was war es dieses Jahr? Diese komischen Waffen, diese komischen Schiffe, wo sie quasi Content reusen, indem sie sagen, hey, du bekommst irgendwie so eine Art crappy, hochgerüstete Version, die zwar potenziell mehr kann, aber einen Plumpsklo als Scheißhaus hat.
Plumpsklo, das war bloß ein Eimer.
Okay. Ja, vielleicht haben sie Arbeit für irgendwelche Juniors gebraucht, ich weiß es nicht. Aber weißt du, es gibt so viele Punkte, die sie zeigen können. Base-Building in seiner aktuellen Form. Ingenieurs-Gameplay, das heißt doch, das soll angeblich alles bald kommen. Jetzt ist Base-Building laut Roadmap fertig. Und sie erwähnen es hier
nicht einmal.
Null.
Ja.
Null. Jedem hätte gereicht, wenn sie in der Genesis-Portion gesagt hätte, hey, schaut her, hier Current State from Basebuilding. Weißt du, einfach, wenn ein paar Gebäude aufpoppen, ein bisschen UI, Gebäude poppen auf und dann vielleicht so irgendwo Ding, bla bla bla, Basebuilding mit 2026 oder so. Dann das so totzuschweigen und stattdessen, ja, wir haben Content bekommen im letzten Jahr. Auch eigentlich ganz coolen Content. Und jetzt, wenn ich mir aber überlege, wir fliegen Kampfmissionen, wir sollen jemanden töten. Bounty Hunter. Und wir töten Yachten. Reclaimer. Ich finde, diese Art von Missionen hätten viel mehr Aufmerksamkeit verdient, dass diese kleinen Missionen mit den richtigen Schiffen geflogen werden müssen, statt einfach nur eine Polaris draufzuschmeißen. Dass da mehr Varietät drin ist, das wäre das gewesen, was eigentlich reinkommen sollte und nicht Tactical Strike Groups, die weder für kleine Gruppen gedacht sind, sondern wofür du Vorbereitung brauchst, die aktuell mit den aktuellen Bugs und den Sachen, die schieflaufen können bei der Vorbereitung, dann 6 bis 8 Stunden brauchen.
Ja.
Ich meine, klar, wenn du sagst, okay, sie haben sowas mit den Instanzen, wo du sagst, okay, du kannst aus der Instanz raus und kannst sie dann am nächsten Tag weitermachen, geil. Aber wie gesagt, was ist zum Beispiel, nehmen wir mal an, wir 3 abends Casual Gamer spielen die Mission mit euch 2, die auch mal am Nachmittag zocken und dann brechen wir ab. Könnt ihr dann währenddessen was machen? Oder seid ihr dann mit uns in der Instanz gefangen und müsst dort bleiben? Wäre auch scheiße. Und so viel Features, die in meinen Augen mehr Sinn machen würden, gerade mit dem Tactical Gameplay, eben genau das, gescheite Orga-Features, gescheite, Ship-Rent-Dinger. Ich meine, klar, dass du jetzt dann zum Beispiel bei der Polaris landen kannst und dich restocken kannst. Geil. Ist geil. Aber überleg mal, wie viele Leute haben oder eigentlich richtig geil ist erst bei der Idris. Und jetzt überleg mal, wie viele Leute haben eine Idris? Sprich also, für wie viele Leute ist dieses Gameplay interessant? Und für wie viele Leute wäre es vielleicht nicht interessanter, dass ich sagen kann, ihr braucht eine Polaris, ich habe heute Abend keine Zeit, aber hier, ihr könnt sie fliegen. Das wäre in meinen Augen ein viel, viel sinnvolleres Feature als das. Und warum dieser Slot über Crafting? Ja, es ist cool, aber nichts, wo ich sage, was gerade jetzt so demanding wäre. Weapon-Upgrades und Armor-Upgrades, du kannst es dir kaufen, du kannst es erlooten. Weiß ich nicht. Keine Worte zum Quantum Dry, also dass was können wir machen mit dem, was ist mit dem neuen Flugmodell, was ja auch irgendwo wichtig ist. Weil ja dann eben dieses, dass du so einfach, du gehst im Endeffekt in die Richtung und aktivierst deinen Quantum Jump oder sowas. Kannst du kleine Jumps machen oder so. Keine Ahnung.
Malik, Entschuldigung, ich muss dich kurz unterbrechen. Malik, dieses Spiel ist so kacke, Digga. Lauter Sniper überall.
Ja, nur Sniper, du scheiß, wer bist das?
War irgendwie nicht das, was ich mir erhofft habe von dem Ganzen. Also das Instanzierung ist was ich sage, ja, cool. Aber es ist mir zu wenig von dem gewesen, was eigentlich wichtiger gewesen wäre. Weil irgendwie kann man ja sagen, von dem Road zu 1.0 ist ja das Einzige, was ja Progress gemacht hat, die Planet Tech. Sonst haben sie ja eigentlich nur irgendwas anderes gemacht, was sie eigentlich gar nicht gesagt haben, was sie machen wollen.
Die haben viel gesagt, ohne etwas zu sagen.
Aber gut. Ich denke mal, da werden wir noch in den nächsten Tagen noch einiges oder anderes von irgendwelchen YouTubern hören. Und ich denke mal, wir werden auch noch mal gucken. Ich denke mal, wir werden das vielleicht auch noch mal wobei eigentlich ist es gar nicht wert, über die Sachen, die sie gebracht haben, noch weitere Videos zu machen, muss ich ganz ehrlich sagen. Weil
Was
es
will man
ist
dazu
nichts,
sagen,
wo
noch
ich sage,
Ja.
außer dass es nicht das ist, was wir uns erwartet haben. Aber es ist kein Content, wo ich mir sage, erstens mal ist es ja noch so weit weg, weil wenn du dir überlegst, dieses Tactical Strike Groups, das ist ja, glaube ich, noch so weit weg im Endeffekt, dass wahrscheinlich es vielleicht zur nächsten CitizenCon kommt.
Wir sind ja erst der 5.
Und sie darf. Ja.
What the fuck?
Also, da muss ich sagen, dann bringen sie 3 Schiffe.
Kleine Schiffe.
3 irgendwelche. Ja. Ich meine, klar, die IAE ist nun mal, glaube ich, der größere Geldbringer als die CitizenCon. Aber, und da wird sie wahrscheinlich kommen. Naja. Ich sag's mal so. Gut, dass wir aktuell Battlefield 6 haben. Weil klar, es kommt guter Content ins Verse. Das will man nicht bestreiten, aber es gibt auch einige Sachen, wo es eben in die falsche Richtung geht. Das ist eben dieser hey, du kriegst ein Fernglas und du musst aber dafür Kilo farmen, weil Bullshit.
Wo ist er?
Das Das ist einfach, ja. Na gut, damit beenden wir unsere Watchparty offiziell, würde ich sagen, weil,
Also es gab schon
Enttäuschung.
ein paar gute, aber halt 90% davon waren halt schon ein Ding. Also halt, ja.
Ja gut, du kriegst, hey, ihr kriegt nix. Nix ist quasi, sind wir noch nicht viel weiter, aber ihr kriegt's schon mal, damit wir dann da Content reinschmeißen können und ihr kriegt verbackten Content, obwohl wir eigentlich gesagt haben, wir wollen keine Features mehr euch geben, die nicht schon eine gewisse Qualität haben. Deswegen geben wir euch auch eine quasi Pre-Alpha vom Crafting-System, weil wir ja eigentlich gesagt haben, wir wollen, weißt du, eben nicht mehr den Tech-Null-Shit an euch weitergeben, sondern wir wollen quasi schon die erste Iteration erst an die Community weitergeben, damit eben kein so Frustpotenzial kommt. Und dann ihr bekommt unsere Planet Tech, die wir natürlich dann reinschmeißen, weil wir müssen sie testen. Das ist okay. So gerade Large-Scale-Tests und so weiter, das ist auch verständlich. Instanzierung, ja, ist ein Feature, wo sie wahrscheinlich festgestellt haben, dass sie es brauchen, weil du hast halt dann den Vorteil, du kannst quasi den Space, den du hast, reusen. Und hast nicht das Problem wie wir jetzt, dass du sagst, okay, hey, da ist eine große Gruppe von dir vorher reingelaufen und du kannst jetzt den Content quasi nicht mehr spielen. Vollkommen okay, finde ich gut. Aber es geht halt an dem vorbei, was eigentlich man machen will fürs Persistent Universe. Und diese ganzen Sachen wie NPC-Simulationen und sowas, naja. Na gut.
Ja, die einzige Hoffnung ist, wenn nix fertiges als Space-Building kommt, dass sie das als du musst...
Was hast du mir wieder?
Das ist mit Sicherheit ein Baustein für Space Building, aber...
Ach schon, ich bin mal gegangen.
Star Citizen-Spieler müssen geduldig sein.
Ja, das ist kein Thema. Es ist genug Content da. Es ist auch genug Content da, dass wir regelmäßig spielen können. Aber in meinen Augen fehlen da schon noch einige Sachen, die ich mir gerne gewünscht hätte, darüber was zu hören. Gut, vielleicht ist es auch einfach so, dass dieses Format einfach dadurch, dass es relativ klein ist und nur 2 Stunden, dass man dann ein bisschen handpicken muss. Aber genau dafür wurden in meinen Augen die falschen Themen gewählt. Die haben gedacht, okay, komm, wir bringen nix, wir ballern nix raus, bam, das macht dann, geht alle und so weiter und damit sind alle happy. Aber ja, schauen wir mal. Da darf man jetzt nicht zu viel rausgeben, aber ich finde halt, das ist ja auch das, was ich immer schon gesagt habe, man muss aufpassen, dass dieses Spiel sich nicht in die falsche Richtung entwickelt. Und du siehst gerade, da ist dieser eine Kerl, dieser Lead-Designer und der hat eine clear Vision davon und die Frage ist aber, geht das in die richtige Richtung? Weil aktuell, wenn du dir das so überlegst mit den Instanzen und so weiter, die bauen damit ja eigentlich klassischen MMO-Content. Was grundsätzlich nicht verkehrt ist, aber was mich stört, ist, dass diese anderen Sandbox-Features viel zu kurz gekommen sind, in meinen Augen, in der CitizenCon. Und da hätte man mehr so einen Mix machen können. Manche Panels, gerade das Nyx-Panel, war in meinen Augen zu lang. Teilweise hattest du Infos doppelt. Also zum Beispiel, wo er jetzt am Schluss nochmal über das, warum quatscht er nochmal so über das Instancing? Da hatten wir einen, weißt du, er hat so lange über das Instancing gequatscht, dass man das Instancing nicht als eigenes Segment gebraucht hätte. Sondern der hätte sagen können, hey, wir haben festgestellt, wir brauchen Instancing und so weiter und so fort.
Der hat ja auch mit der dreilagigen Pizza Zeit geschindet.
Ja. Na gut, sie haben dafür überzogen.
Ja, ein bisschen.
Also, von dem her. Aber gut, ich sag YouTube danke ans Zuschauen. Dieses Format gibt es jetzt mit uns auf der Casting Couch, gibt es jetzt dann häufiger. Allerdings nicht mit der CitizenCon, sondern wir schauen uns so aktuellen Content an, den der Star Citizen Community präsentiert wird. Und ich hoffe, dass im nächsten Jahr noch ein paar Videos kommen, die uns vielleicht wieder milder stimmen. Aber aktuell, ich sage es so, ich glaube, wir kriegen genug Reaction-Content, weil da wird einige kritische Videos zu dem ganzen Ding kommen. Wie gesagt, Nyx-System ist big und so weiter, ist cool, aber nicht das, was ich mir komplett erhofft hatte. Genau. Auf jeden Fall, wir sagen danke fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Bis dahin.
Servus.
Ciao,
Ciao, ciao.